Hello and welcome back to the Goat Cave podcast. Today we have a very, very special guest here in the studio with us. Our guest today is one of the biggest names in BMX, who has cemented himself a spot among the likes of Jay Miron, Dave Osato, Paul Buchanan, and others as one of the most influential, greatest riders in Canadian history. Over the last 12 years, we have seen him put in countless incredible video parts that continues to push the limits of what is possible on a BMX bike. He is the king of simple session with 5 wins under his belt. He has won Toronto BMX Jam so many times that people stopped wondering who was going to be first and started taking bets on who was going to take second place. He has teamed up with some of the most well-respected brands and companies in the world of BMX: Toyota, DK Bikes, and more. Oh, and of course, RedBull. Can't miss out on that. His positive attitude is so infectious, it's impossible to not be smiling when you're around him. We are so lucky to have the one and only Drew Bezanson in the studio with us. Drew, dude, thank you for the opportunity. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm stoked to get out of the house. Obviously, my life's been a little slower paced than it's been over the last 15 years, but definitely stoked to be out here and talk about BMX and just share a little bit more of my story.
Absolutely, Drew. And for those that are listening, if you've listened to this show since the beginning, you've known that Drew has always been someone that I've wanted on the show, someone I've wanted to speak to. And, the opportunity is pretty incredible. So let's just start out right at the beginning. Let's talk about your start in BMX way back in, Nova Scotia.
Yep. Yeah, it came shortly after racing motocross as a kid. I mean, it was just kind of like I needed something to do every day after school more than just come home and hang out. Like, obviously racing motocross, like I needed my parents to take me to the track. And with BMX, I could come home from school, grab my bike and go out and ride jumps that I'd built or the mini ramp in the attic of my parents' garage. So yeah, BMX just gave me something to do every day after school.
Dude, that is wicked. Yeah, I think it kind of starts out for a lot of people like that. And yourself, Matt, by the way, Matt Weatherill, everyone. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. How was BMX for you? How did you kind of start out?
It was the same thing, just something more to do after high school, like in high school, just something. There's a group of kids in the neighborhood and they used to ride, so
yeah.
That was it.
Dude, that's wicked. And, I ended up getting quite a few messages from people just talking about, being locals in Nova Scotia with you and kind of growing up around you. And one of them comes in from Cam McCullum.
Yep.
And he was saying that, you used to have this red bike that you would just shred over the pyramid. And literally you would just gap this thing and do the craziest things on it until you either bailed super hard or the bike broke, which is like so cool to hear,
Yeah. Now, as you say that, I remember which bike he's talking about. It was called a Sport Tech Pacer. It was a $99 BMX bike from Zellers, and literally, like, I would always have to bum tools off people because I would try to grind, and literally the axle nuts would strip off and then my pegs would go flying across the park and I'd literally just be like yard sale. My bike would just fall apart.
Dude, that is so wild. I definitely think that everybody kind of needs to get that experience of riding a bike that isn't the best quality, just so that, when they get a really good bike, like a DK Drew Bezanson bike, they'll have the top tier best BMX experience, Yeah. And then having a crappy bike also kind of teaches you how to work on it and how to build it and whatnot. And there's so many kids that I know that they got really good really quickly, but they didn't know how to work on their bike at all because, they just always had a really, really nice bike. They would just take it to the bike shop, which I always found funny, working at a bike shop, whenever a brakeless, BMX comes in with no pegs, you're kind of like, what do you need, man? You want the wheels trued? But yeah. And when you were in Nova Scotia, who were some of the riders that you kind of looked up to? Because I'm sure that there was, local dudes that were really influencing you.
I grew up looking up to Sam Lowe. He lives out west now, but he was the guy that was always kind of at the forefront of BMX in Nova Scotia. him and a dude named Jeff Sims, the Buchanans, Dan Buchanan, Andrew Buchanan. They had a 6-foot mini ramp in their backyard and spent a lot of time riding with them.
Dude, that is wicked, man. Yeah, just to be kind of close to those dudes, I'm sure would be incredible, you know. I sent Sam a message last night just, asking him if he had any questions. I didn't get a response, but I am going to check later on. I'm sure the guy's super busy, so yeah, but after riding in Nova Scotia for, a couple of years there, you got really good really quickly is kind of what I've heard. And one of the things that I learned was when you kind of did your first Metro Jam out in Vancouver, you actually signed up before even like going into amateur or anything because you couldn't get that spot. So let's just talk about that because I feel like Metro Jam and, Toronto BMX Jam, any of those big Canadian contests played a big role in a lot of big Canadian riders like yourself, Moxley, and anybody else who's kind of a contest rider, Joel Bondu, those dudes.
Yeah, Metro Jam was always the contest you tried to get into. Back then, like, they would, like, open up phones and you literally try to call in and get a hold of them to sign up. And, like, I remember, like, I got through, like, 11 minutes after sign up, opened up, and I was, like, 30th on the waiting list to try to ride a 40-person spot amateur. And then I remember I just got so fed up, I just signed up with Pro when Vancouver Metro Jam rolled around.
Nice, dude. That's wicked. Like just to kind of go right into it and say, no, I'm good. I'm doing pro. Like I gotta ride there. That's really cool. And especially because back then, props kind of ruled the world, and Metro Jam was such a huge thing every year, where it wasn't just Canadian dudes. There was some of the best names in the world flying in all over.
Yeah.
Just to ride this course. And even the courses back then, I always felt were really, really cool. Yeah. There's a props issue. I think it's either the 2004 or 2005 Metro Jam, but it has those green ramps, or it would have been like Le Rev. But dude, those are some of the coolest like events ever, man. And those props videos, all the dudes over there did a wonderful job with filming, editing, and the music. Just everything about it was sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever get really into props at that age?
Absolutely. Props was a huge part of my upbringing, like especially like I feel like I came up in like the golden era of BMX, like videos like Little Devil, Criminal Mischief, Etnies Forward at the time. Like I grew up like when like there would be anytime a new DVD came out, we'd have like video premieres. Everybody would get together and watch the videos. Everybody would share the DVD around. Everybody would get to watch it like as many times as they wanted to. So it was like kind of a good era to come up into BMX.
Definitely, man. And I think nowadays the kids that are coming into it, they get kind of the same thing, but it's through Instagram, right? So it's like you'll just share a clip with your friend, but you don't get that same thing of meeting the guy at the park and being like, dude, you've got to see this. There's this crazy Van Homan clip in there, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and I would imagine that, after years of you watching and loving props and just being kind of infatuated by that, getting an opportunity to do a props, bio, for your own part, that must have been really, really cool, man.
Yeah, it was an opportunity that like I was kind of waiting for, and it was for me. It was like the opportunity of put more effort into it than just a regular web video that I had done in the past.
Yeah. I guess because at that point you really you were right in the process of filming your Into the Void part, and that would have been like your first true video part, and then you did the props bio and whatnot, which is like one of the best things to be a part of. So yeah, that's pretty rad.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but to kind of go back on Toronto BMX Jam here, as I was saying in the intro, you are the king of Toronto BMX Jam and Simple Session. When it comes to Toronto BMX Jam, I literally said in the intro that people would start taking bets on who's going to take second, which is like, I'm one of those people, man, because I knew that like Drew's going to win. He's gonna, like, you always had the craziest lines, the craziest ideas, and you'd always like just end the show with a bang, right? Because you were always kind of the last guy to go. And the best part is when you knew that you were about to go, and you would just look in the crowd and everybody's looking up at the roof. Like, where is he? Where is he coming from? But, one would like, what was your first kind of run at Toronto Metro Jam like? Because you said you did Vancouver, but when did you do Metro Jam for the first time in Toronto?
2007 was my first year. That was when Mike Heaton was doing it. They had the big wedge wall. There's a curved wall on the course, and then there's the 8-foot quarter. And I did the hop through whip into the quarter. But the Metro Jam, like the Toronto BMX jams, have always been super special to me because it's been the closest thing I've ever had to a hometown contest. So I always look forward to that event every year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd imagine so, man. Those contests were just incredible too, and like the vibes and just the way that everybody kind of was there. It's not like a normal contest where, you know, you go and you're kind of planning your runs, you're trying to win, you know?
Yeah.
It was all vibes. Everybody was really stoked to see people, you know, do stuff. And when I had Moxley on the show, we talked about the whip to foof on the back rail. And that was one of those things that, like, everybody that was up against Moxley for best trick and all this stuff, they were just stoked to see him get it, right? And I think BMX is kind of like that in general. But when you get these people from all over Canada, which is already kind of a smaller, lesser known BMX community, like compared to the States, when you get these dudes who are all some of the biggest dudes together, I feel like everybody's just stoked to be around each other, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't
for me, the venue it was always in was special because there was options for my style of rider, like riding to come in from like the windowsill or the rafters or set the ramps up in ways that I could use like the building to do stuff on.
Definitely. I'm going to pull up a clip here. So this is really cool. This is actually, I think, 2010 Metro Jam. You did an ice pick in the window.
Yep.
Let me pull this up here. There we go. Yeah, so there's that big ice pick in the window. And I don't know if it was an Alley Sports video or if it was something else, but there was a video online at one point. I searched for the last week for it and I couldn't find it. Yeah. But it's you basically, you know, going for this ice pick, and it shows the backstory behind it on how you almost got it, came down, busted your wheel, and you're literally racing against the clock to kind of get everything done so you can get this. So why don't you tell us about that? Because I couldn't find the video, and I really want to hear that story.
Yeah, I mean, I always look for, obviously I know what I want to end my run with. I actually fell on the first ice pick attempt and busted my face open, and they actually had a like butterfly stitch my face back together.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, I felt bad because like my mom showed up to watch the contest, and she's in the crowd. Like, here's her son with his face busted open, going for his last trick. But I mean, I was always just super focused on. I mean, I knew what I wanted to end my run with, and that was it. So, I was stoked to make it possible.
Definitely. And what I love here is literally the progression, right? You went from doing this big ice pick, you know, probably 2010, and then you come out with your video at Joyride, the first one with Crumlish filming, where you did ice pick to bar back in. And it's just like that kind of stuff, man. It's incredible to see that it's not like, you know, oh, I did an ice pick in a windowsill once and that was it, right? You kind of took your biggest tricks that you would learn at these jams sometimes where it's just kind of a Hail Mary and just throw it and get it done. And you would just bring that into your average day of riding, which is like so beyond me, right? It's just so crazy. But, you know, while we're on the topic of those videos, let's watch through them all. I kind of just want to sit and watch each one and we'll go through it. And the first one I always really enjoyed because you could see just you riding Joyride when it was that kind of smaller known park. There really wasn't too much to it yet because it was only about a year old. So while I pull up the video, why not tell us a little bit about Joyride when you kind of first found out about it?
Actually, like the end of 2009, I got kicked out of the US because I didn't have an athlete visa. And I remember my friend being like, oh, they're opening up a 90,000 square foot indoor bike park in Ontario. And I remember like him telling me about it, and I kind of called BS on it. I'm like, there's no way. And he sent me a link to like the website, and I remember like it opened up the beginning of 2010, and I came up for New Year's, and the very first day of 2010 was my very first day I went to Joyride. I think I went pretty much every day after that.
Dude, that is so wild. And what I love too is you just mentioned you getting kicked out of the US for having an athlete's visa, but you also had a fake ID, which is funny. So
that sucked.
Yeah, I kind of want to know about that because I know there was a huge thing with it. Like you had traveled around for months and not had any issues, and then you had finished a contest, and then you just kind of got hit by the border patrol or whatever it was.
Yeah, I just kind of I got the dude that woke up on the wrong side of the bed that day, and he looked at my file because my passport, when you swipe it, there comes up a yellow flag, and all these notes in there of like this guy looks sketchy, probably he claims he's coming in to ride his bike, which I was, but yeah, the dude was like, why can't you get an athlete visa? If you're coming here to do what you say you're doing, you should be able to get the visa. So they searched all my stuff. They found a fake ID because in Canada, the drinking age is 21, so I could go to the bar, but I literally just had a fake ID to just go play pool with my friends.
Yeah.
And then I went back and forth between the border patrol and the state police, and they ended up having to fine me for having the fake ID, and I just went back and forth for 10 hours pretty much.
Dude, that is rough.
And then at the end of it, they're like, oh, the reason we're not letting you into the US today is because you have no proof of returning to Canada. And even though it was right before the holidays, and I just got invited to the Animal House jam that Mira invited me to, so I was devastated not being able to go there because I'd ridden the warehouse with Dave a bunch right before the last stop of the Do Tour that year, which was in Orlando.
Yeah.
So to get that personal phone call from Dave, as soon as I got invited, and obviously I'd ridden the warehouse a ton, my brain instantly went into thinking of everything I wanted to do at the contest. And I just had to call Dave and let him know that I wasn't able to make it into the States. So I ended up going home, booking a plane ticket, booking a return ticket to have proof that I was coming back to Canada. And they were just like, oh, you got denied yesterday? We're not going to let you in.
Damn. Oh, man, that is rough.
Yeah.
Dude, especially to miss the Animal House contest because the footage from that was ridiculous, man. And I'm pretty sure he was giving away a car to the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It looked like a crazy contest. Sucks that you weren't a part of it, but to get the invite is dude.
Oh, an honor for sure.
That's already way up there,
Absolutely.
Definitely. So, let's check out this Joyride video and, just kind of walk us through it. This is the first one that you guys filmed back in 2010. So,
we filmed this in a morning. We started at 10 in the morning, and it was done in a day.
That is wild. It's hard to believe that it was done in a day, especially because I've filmed full-length videos before and whatnot, and it takes a lot of work, But Charlie wanted me to mention the camera flip there.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the story behind that?
He just came up with it. I love filming with Charlie. It was always super fun. It was mellow, easy. Didn't matter how long it took for me to pull a trick. He was always down and had good vibes. So
yeah,
I miss that dude.
Dude, Charlie's the man. He came on the show recently, and we just went so far back with just BMX stuff in general. It was really cool.
Yeah.
But what I love is seeing Charlie with a helmet on while filming, just because it's he never wears a helmet now,
Yeah.
But I know he used to be that dude. This is nuts. I'm I still don't understand the whip to wall ride. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. No, but I'm stoked it all worked. Obviously, everything.
Definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of clips in here that are crazy. The gap across that is just insane in my mind. The down whip over the doorway into there is nuts. And over the years, obviously, the course kind of changed up quite a bit there.
Yep.
And, dude, oh my God, the wall tap, above the vert wall, makes zero sense. Just so wild. Did you ever really like this feature? Because I never got to ride it.
I actually did like it.
Yeah, that was something that I've had Dave Thomas on and Stephen Moxley, and we've talked about this feature. Or not this one, but the one behind it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a spine step up. and like with a built-in sub box thing. It was really cool, man.
I have ideas of like, obviously I have like a ton of park changes I would love to do, but it's just getting like Mark on board with it, getting the proper budget to do it. And I mean, once I'm back to being able to get back to 100%, like I want to do Drew Bezanson versus Joyride 152 as like kind of like a return edit.
Yeah, that'd be wicked.
Because I have like, I mean, I feel like a mad scientist when I think about BMX because I'll like be sitting in the house and I'll be like, oh, I think that line would be possible. And like, it's stuff that I need to go to the park and look at it in person to see if it would even be possible. So
yeah.
Sorry, this ice to bar.
Yeah,
I think this is way crazier than the Metro the Toronto BMX champ. The quarter's smaller and the wall's higher.
Yeah,
like
it's
at Toronto,
so
I was
wild.
like,
yeah,
that's insane.
Dude, the wall smith is like, that makes zero sense to me. Like, it's still crazy to think about how that has not been done since, right? Like, no one can touch that, which is wild.
Well, I did it not too long ago last year. Or
That
was
is
it last
Yeah.
year? But yeah, because like you can go from like the small spine to the bigger spine now.
Yeah.
And it's set when you put like there's an extension too we have that you can set up on the like the bell wedge wall kind of thing.
Yep.
That makes it possible now, and like I've got so many ideas of stuff that I want to do at the park still.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Travis Sykesmith snapped a picture of it. Actually.
Yeah, exactly.
That
Really?
Smith, yeah.
Dude, that is
Super sick.
wild. Yeah, that's dude, a wall smith up there is like the craziest thing ever, right? Like, I always feel really cool if I can get them on like a bank to wall.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, wall smith, turn around. But like to be up on a quarter and do it is nuts. And like wall taps too. You know, I'm a brake rider. I love riding brakes. And that trick is like, I suck at them, but whenever I can get a good one, it's like the best feeling ever, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's check out the next Joyride video. This would be number 2, and I always felt that number 2 was just like, you know, the video was very different because Justin Soul had filmed it and edited it, so it's just a really different style of than Charlie. Charlie kind of always has that like BMX feel to his videos.
It's very raw.
Yeah, and with Justin, he's just so clean cut, professional, films NASCAR, you know, that kind of stuff. The guy is like, he's an incredible filmmaker, an incredible you know, do with all of that stuff, but Charlie's just got that more BMX feel. But with Justin, it kind of worked out as well. Like, the video turned out incredible.
Yeah, that one was filmed in like a day and a half as well. It was right after my first brain injury, so I was so fired up to like get back to riding.
Definitely.
I think we filmed literally one night and one other night, and like I jumped over the XC loop at like 3 a.m.
Dude, that is wild. The XC loop is nuts, dude. Like, I've talked to you about this in the past, just being at Joyride with you there.
Yeah.
And it's something that like just kind of blows me away. So you'll have to tell us in a minute here. But I like that the first 2 clips here are even crazier than most in the last one, right?
I actually
like you did the ice bar.
I did Lucky to Tooth on that, and I headbutted the pipe ahead it.
Oh my
above it.
God. That is wild.
Bar to Rubin's crazy, but yeah, no, smashing your head would suck.
Yeah, it was
I love that.
I was definitely like shocked, being like, "What the hell? Did my head just hit?"
Yeah. I like how it's literally like they're going to have to cut the roof off. They have to have like a door on the roof.
Yeah, I think I've cut probably 5 pipes out of the ceiling at Joyride just to make stuff possible.
Yeah. I loved your box jump tricks here too. Like the pendulum to whip is like the craziest combo ever, dude.
It's big and tech same time.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, you've always had that style that I think a lot of park riders really want, and maybe they just don't really know how to incorporate it, or they just don't have that style. But like your riding, you know, I don't think I've ever seen you do a 1080, or like a quad whip, but you've never needed to do that. You've always had these other really cool combos. Like bar to turn down is one of the coolest, stylish looking tricks.
It just feels good.
Yeah. And that's the thing where like your riding, you basically just incorporated style and steez with all of these crazy tricks. This is the craziest thing ever.
For
dude.
myself, I've always just like I never want to do like a triple whip or anything like that. I just want to find something where doing a single whip on is big enough to impress people with.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with like kind of like that mid-school like
Oh, definitely, especially like with props, right?
Yeah,
You were such a
absolutely.
huge fan
Yeah.
of props. It
I,
makes sense.
I grew up in like the golden era of BMX, like 05, 06, with Josh Harrington doing bar de foof on like the fence at Metro Jam, and
Yeah,
just like, I don't know, I feel like back when men were men,
yeah. There you go.
back before a lot of Resi and airbag stuff that's today, which, not that I don't have respect for it, but it's more like a gymnastics routine
Dude, I always
where
feel
it's not like raw freestyle.
Yeah. This is crazy. Like, how do you even get the idea for this, you know? I love that you just, like, casual flip right to flat. This is nuts, like the pendulum, and then you truck into this, too. I'm like, that's
Yep.
got to be the scariest thing ever. Like,
For myself, I've always been super comfortable with big step downs and stuff like that.
yeah.
And I fully credit my motocross career from that, because as like a kid growing up racing 60s and 80s, like I was always the young kid that would always jump stuff first on tracks. Like I would call it out in practice. Like I'd be like,
Yeah.
last lap of practice, I'm going to jump the finish line. And I remember like there was one track that was, there was a super big finish line jump, and I was like, last lap of practice, I'm just going to hit it like fourth gear wide open on 65 and see where it puts me.
Yeah.
So
That is wild,
That
man.
gap this gap here has a moto feel to it. Like when you go
Definitely.
straight over,
Yeah.
it reminds me of like a crazy, like
well,
in the dunes.
I jumped it once when like that there was still like the platform on top,
Yeah.
and there's one time I had to like bail out, and like I baseball slid down the hip landing, and I caught my bike before it was done bouncing.
Oh my god, dude. This is just so wild to me. And it's like no one else could ever touch that. You know, it's just such a huge gap. You can
Yeah.
see the moto side. You know,
Yeah.
you had mentioned that. That is something that is so true. I love little Mike Gray. Like, what?
Yeah, he definitely made that clip. It's
Yeah.
funny because like the clip after that, I can't remember who it was, but like he runs and like jumps into some dude's arms
Oh my god.
afterwards, and like it just would have been funny if they put that clip in there. I'm sure you would have been embarrassed about it, but
Yeah.
it was pretty funny. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Justin Brown.
Yeah. That is so nuts. So why don't we talk about going for that clip? Because
Matt McDuff actually pointed it out.
really,
Yeah, it was like when I was like about to be ready to ride again. He's like, "Oh, have you ever like looked at like it lines up perfectly to go from the spine over to the first hip landing?" And like I remember like standing on the XC loop like railing, like just looking at it. I'm like, it lines up perfectly. And then I built like the big sub on top of the 9-foot quarter at Joyride, and I was like, if I can drop in off the sub and jump up on top of it,
you're good, basically.
then I'm good. Because then I know if I drop in off the sub and take like 3 hard cranks, it will give me the proper speed to jump the whole thing. So I've always just been like super good at gauging distances. I feel like coming from like the motocross background and being like, oh, I can jump this far off this mound. And like I've always like looked at parks that way as well.
Definitely. Yeah, and when you're going for it, like, you know, I love the sub wall that you built, because it's essentially just like 4 picnic tables with a picnic table on top and then just some wood slapped to the side of it. But I always remember, like, you know, me and my friends seeing that and being like, dude, he had to put a 30 tooth on. There's no way that he did it with 28.9. He had to put a 30 tooth on. He probably dropped in from the ceiling, you know, came through. Like, we always had these crazy ideas. And then I talked to you about it, and it was literally that you just dropped off the sub and just full
Sprint,
speed ahead,
yeah.
you know? It's so wild to think about that. And like, that is such a crazy gap, man. And like, still mind blowing to this day. And I love that it's still kind of doable. Like, if you were to go to the park now, it's going to be cutting it close because they cut that section of the spine out. But
yeah, no, it could be done again, definitely.
yeah,
But I would have to probably build a bigger sub on top of the 9-foot quarter. And then now I do have 39 gear ratio on my bike, because I've found stuff in the park where 28.9 was literally not
enough. Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
And I think when you're riding more park style stuff and you're able to kind of pump those transitions, 30 to 9 is easy. Like,
Yeah,
it's
once
mainly when
you
you're
get
riding
moving.
street.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I like 28.9 because I love street riding. I love park. It's kind of the perfect gearing for everything. Whereas, like, with 25.9, I am done, dude. Like, I'm going to be
Yeah.
going like a snail. Like,
Yeah, you just max it out so quick.
yeah, exactly. But that was such a crazy video part, and what I always like to ask about is, what kind of took you the longest to get, and what was it that was just so, difficult about it? There's just certain clips I think that everybody kind of struggles with. Do you have any stories from that video that are kind of like that?
I remember the bar to foot jam at the end on like the picnic table monstrosity. I did that clip at like 4 a.m. to put like Iron Maiden on, and definitely it took me a while to like get the speed proper for it, so I had to work for that one. But I remember like I finished that edit, everybody left. I took that structure down myself, put all the wood back, and I remember texting Mark at like 4 a.m. being like, "Hey, can we build new ramps?" He's just kind of like, "No, like, go to bed."
Yeah.
And like, he came in at like 5:30 in the morning, and I think I had just finished like a gym workout because I just couldn't sleep because I probably drank like 3 Red Bulls to get all the speed to jump everything that night.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh my god. That is so nuts. Yeah, it's dude, the bar to foot jam on that sub is just so crazy. And that's always been like a trick that you've always really enjoyed, or at least that I've kind of noticed.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's check out number 3. Number 3 was like kind of the one that really blew up, right? We started to see some crazy contraptions throughout the park. The park was really being built around you and your riding at this point. And those were kind of the golden era of Joyride. I love Joyride now. They're an incredible park, and it would be absolutely devastating to lose them, especially with them being shut down so consistently throughout COVID. But dude, to, see all these crazy ramps in there, it's gotten to the point where, like, if you're not a local there, it's difficult to get through everything, but for you it's like so easy, which is incredible to watch, right? So yeah, let's check out your third video. And yeah, so with this one, Justin also filmed and edited this one.
Yeah.
And dude, incredible job. I love the shots of the actual bike here. And dude, your DK frames from then and even now, I always really, really loved those frames. And like, I've never had one, but I always wanted a DK team frame, especially seeing, your riding and them sponsoring so many Canadian dudes over the years. That was always a big incentive. But yeah, we got some hitching post here.
Definitely mid-school influenced.
Dude, I feel like you're one of the last dudes in BMX that uses a hitching post to its full potential. There's some dudes out there that still do, but like, I don't know, I feel like a hitching post and you're just right at home, This flare is nuts.
Yeah, the first one I didn't pull hard enough, and I literally just flopped against the back of the wall.
Oh, yeah?
Just like belly flopped against it.
Yeah, that is rough. This is nuts, dude. This makes zero sense. Like, big Euro table against that.
You can show that to somebody from the outside looking in, like just somebody off the street, and they're like, wow, like that's pretty crazy, right?
This is nuts. Like, to build a ramp on top of there, like, oh man, it's so wild.
I have so many like little random ramps that are just at Joyride, like in like the back room that I can
pull out whenever
pull up for random stuff. So
yeah, I always thought that this clip needed more people to like kind of understand how wild that is, right? Like, oh man, the barrel whip is nuts. Like, perfect to pedals too, man. That was incredible.
Yeah, I've always had like a lot of box jump tricks, but I've never really shown them or like used them. Like, I've always been like, I don't know, super comfortable with a lot of them.
The hand plant over that is insane, dude. Foot plant to no foot can, nuts.
How tall was that, Drew?
8 feet, I believe.
Yeah, most guys have a hard time riding a regular size hitch and post. Let's put it 8 feet high.
Yeah. Also, I want to go back there just for a second because there's a wild clip that we just saw. Dude. So in this like hitching post segment, we see the hand plant, we see the foot plant to no foot can, and then we see the this right afterwards, which is a 180 to backwards foo-fanoo, 180 whip out.
Yep.
This trick is like no one does this, and then to do it on an 8-foot tall.
I had to work for that one. I snapped a seat in half. I remember like Mark being like, just go to the front and grab another one. We have one in the showcase.
Yeah, that's nuts, dude. I love this, the tire ride to bar. That's just crazy.
Mike, I literally rolled up on top of the rolling, and then my cassette skipped the next crank I took.
Oh my god.
So I was like, literally like, if it would have skipped like trying to ratchet off the railing, I would have been dead.
Yeah. Dude, this clip is nuts. The barrel manual whip. This gap is insane. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody else other than maybe you, Nick Clark, and Matt McDuff do that gap. Like,
I think Corey Walsh was the first one to do it.
Really? That's nuts. This is insane, dude. Like, oh my god. And if you've been to Joyride, you know just how big a lot of this stuff is. It is massive.
Room to room.
Yeah. This is crazy. And you can kind of see, too, that like you're working up to do the gap.
Yeah, that was kind of the same thing. Like I jumped that transfer with the board still on top.
Nice.
And then took it off and had to jump it again.
I always kind of wondered, did they put this little 2x4 just so that you could do this?
I put it in there just so it wouldn't flex.
That's amazing. That's wicked, dude. That is such a huge drop. This is like probably the craziest thing in the video, just because that is a 9-foot roller. And to gap out of that is like so hard already. And then when you're trying to gap into the foam section is nuts. So I always kind of wondered, where did you go after you did this? Because the floor is obviously a little slippery.
Yeah, I just ripped down the hallway, to be honest.
That's hilarious.
I want to, when I do like the next Joyride edit, I want to re-jump that and trick it and do more over it, because I want to like, always want to like one up what I've done last.
Yeah.
And that's just like, it's always been like motivation for me to do that. Because like, I remember like even before doing that edit, like this little kid was like, I was like looking at trying to find stuff to film. And I was like, oh, I'm filming a new edit. He's like, well, you can't better your last edit. I was like, thanks for the motivation. I'm like, just wait, kid.
Yeah,
Want to bet?
just you watch, dude.
You just put fuel on the fire.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, dude, these Joyride videos, I feel like those kind of cemented your spot within Canadian BMX as just a legend right off the bat. And then, you know, you would get into the other stuff where you would one-up it, which is like...
I hate that term.
Fair enough.
Legend, because I'm not dead yet. I'm still going. If I'm able to make a full recovery from this, I'm going to do so much more, because my brain has just been thinking of all the things I want to do moving forward. And it's like, I feel like the term legend gets thrown around way too loosely. Like, oh, like, because you have your buds at the bar that are like, oh, he's a legend. Like, why? What did he do? Like, they just throw the term around so loosely. It's like, I don't know.
No, dude, I fully understand that. That makes a lot of sense, actually. And, you know, you'd mentioned there, if you recover from this, you will. You are the kind of person, you know, before we even started this, I was saying that you are the kind of person where you've got the drive, where this is not going to hold you back. It might be a little bit of a slowdown. You know, you're going to have to work all the way back up, but this is just the next challenge for you. You know, you're the kind of dude where this is not going to be the end for you. You will be back, and you will be better than ever. There's no doubt in my mind, Drew. You are... Yeah, you're going to make it through this. I'm really stoked.
No question.
Yeah, literally. So yeah, let's move on from the Joyride videos there. You know, incredible 3 video parts, and I know that everybody has wanted to see a 4th one, so we're really excited to see that when it comes out. But yeah, so there were so many other things that you've been able to do over the years, and we kind of skipped this earlier, so I want to get to it now. But what were some of the first, sponsors that you had over the years of riding, right? Because obviously, now you're sponsored by Toyota, RedBull, and DK Bikes, all these huge companies. But, you were at one point probably sponsored by a local bike shop, something like that.
Yeah, growing up in Nova Scotia and like the East Coast, we had Session Bike Co., owned by Ted Efemididis. Yeah, I rode for Session like when I was like 14, 15. I actually today still have, he made Session like titanium axle nuts, and I've literally put them on every single one of my bikes since I've turned pro. Like every time I build up a new bike, I take the axle nuts from the old bike and put them on the new bike. And I joke, it's like the day those things break, that's the day I retire. But yeah, Session was just East Coast local. And then I had friends that had like a small t-shirt company and rode for them. And it was after I did Vancouver Metro Jam, I got hooked up through Rider Distribution, and they put me on United Flow back then.
Dude, that's wild. I didn't even know that you were on United at one point.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild, dude.
Yeah, 2007, I rode for United, and I remember like 2008, I started doing Dew Tour, and I made finals at Cleveland. I got an offer from DK through Catfish, but I was just about to fly over to England for a United trip. So I was like, hey, Catfish, like I'm going to England for some United stuff, but like obviously I want to see if there's anything possible with them first. But would the opportunity with DK still be there if it doesn't work out with United myself? And he said, absolutely. So I went to England. I talked to Ian from United, and he was like, oh, we do stuff real professional here. Like the next dude to get bumped up at United, it's going to be Jeff Slatterly. So I'm like, okay, that's awesome. He's like, well, if you have the opportunity with DK, take it. So I flew back from the UK to Pennsylvania, went back to Woodward Camp, where I would stay during the summers. Then I called Catfish. I'm like, let's do it. And he sent me a new DK bike to build up there. And yeah, down in 2008, I signed with DK.
Dude, that's sick. And to hear that, 13 years later, you're still with them is clearly an amazing, opportunity and, a partnership as well. Like, yeah. When you kind of see BMX over the years, right? Like, I've been riding for 10 years now. So I've seen my fair share of dudes who will ride for a company. They try and sell that company for 2 years because that's what their job is. Let me be very clear. Their job is to market essentially. And then, 2 years later, they're riding for a new company. It just kind of throws that off a little bit. But with you guys honestly seem like it's family at this point, right? A lot of the dudes who rode for DK back then still ride for them now, which is incredible, Yeah. And then, so 2008, you get hooked up with DK. And then I believe it was 2009 or 2010 that you got sponsored by RedBull, right?
I got put on RedBull in October 2010.
Yeah, so obviously RedBull being the biggest sponsor that you have at this point.
Yep.
What was it like to kind of get a sponsorship through them? Did you guys discuss anything beforehand that made you kind of feel like it might be a potential, or was it kind of all in the blue?
I actually like I knew the team manager at the time, and I was actually texting with him, and his name was Gabe Otier. Unreal team manager. He actually spilled the beans that I was going to get signed to RedBull. Well, 2010 was the first year I rode X Games as well. Mm-hmm. And I actually had an offer from Arma Energy Snacks. And I got a call in the morning from Catfish, was like, hey, have you signed that contract? And I was like, no. He's like, don't sign it. He's like, listen to your grandfather. We all call him Grandpa because he's old. And he's like, because I just got off the phone with Senad Grosic, who was one of the first RedBull athletes ever from Austria. And he said, if nothing comes up for me in the next 3 months, I'll be a signed RedBull athlete.
Dude.
And Catfish was like, listen to your grandfather. He's like, trust me. And then I remember I was like, done. Like, just to have that opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
even though like the Armor deal at the time was a pretty crazy offer for myself, like not making much money. It was a 2-year deal. And I remember my agent calling me right after I got off the phone with Catfish and being like, you ready to start making some money? I was like, no, RedBull wants me.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because my agent at the time was the old RedBull athlete team manager. So I was like kind of signing with him. I was like, well, if anybody can get me on RedBull, it should be the guy who used to be the team manager.
Yeah.
Who hired the new team manager. But at the time he was like, he got back to me. He's like, no, absolutely not. He was like, RedBull wants like a guy who's top 3 at Dew Tour or X Games. And at that time, like I was making finals, but I was like, I still felt like I was still so far off from being where they wanted me to be. So,
4th, 5th, 6th, those kind of, you know, because that's finals, right? At X Games, it's 6 people that make finals, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just kind of like, yeah, I didn't know, but like, yeah, just to have that opportunity. Like, I remember, October 2010 is when I first got my helmet at Vegas Dew Tour.
Dude, that's wild. And to, you know, have a Red Bull helmet is really cool because basically you have to be a Red Bull athlete to have one.
Yep.
You know, which is so insane, dude. It's so cool to kind of be able to get one of those. I'm sure you've had many over the years and whatnot.
Team uniform.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, I love that they do that, man. It's really cool, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's cool for the athletes as well. But for myself, like when I signed my first contract with Red Bull, my team manager was like, he's like, you can wear the hat, you can wear the helmet, and do whatever you want. Like if you have dreams, like we want to make them a reality.
yeah,
Like we want to work towards those with you because they like Red Bull, like as a brand, they invest in their athletes. They want to see them like, because we have performance budgets where we can like, hey, like I did that with Joyride actually. Like I put together like a whole business plan. Like, hey, this is what the park looks like now. This is what I want the park to look like, and this is how it's going to help my career. And I was like, hey, like, would you guys be able to help me out with some money for wood? And they wrote me a check for I think back then.
Nice.
To put towards new lumber for the park. And I kind of just like made a handshake agreement with Mark, who is one of the owners of Joyride, or is the owner of Joyride. I was like, hey, if I can get RedBull to help out with budget, like, can I build what I want to build and change what I want to change? Like, within reason, obviously.
Yeah.
Because it's still going to be functional for everybody. So, yeah. And then also, too, like, they started out with that first. We spent that, built a ton of new ramps. And then they used to have, like, an old Resi ramp that was just, like, this belt material that they use at like construction zones when they're doing explosions.
Yeah.
And like it kind of worked, but like to get a legit Resi cover for the whole Resi the whole like box jump and quarter was and I hit up Red Bull again. They paid for the Resi cover at Joyride as well.
Dude, that is wicked.
Sweet.
Yeah, and having a Resi too is like, as much as people don't really, you know, like Resi clips and whatnot, it's a really important part of park riding.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I think the thing that people don't like is when you just see all this crazy stuff and then it doesn't go to wood, right? Like when you see it and then you see the progression, because obviously, you know, a great example of that would be your learning curve series with Red Bull, where you try and join slopestyle for a year. And, dude, for that, you can see the progression, right? You can see that you're doing these tricks on the big bike into the foam, then you're taking it to, you know, the Resi, and then after that, you'll take it to the real jump. And that is such an important part of that kind of style of riding, especially when you start doing these huge tricks, man, because as far as I'm concerned, if you want to learn how to do a 360 double backflip whip or whatever, like, you really got to be taking that to Resi.
Resi, foam, airbag, like, they have their place.
They have their place, exactly.
And like, don't get me wrong. I love riding Resis. I love doing big box jump tricks. I just like I always have that end goal of proving I can do it on something real, and like I don't know. I don't really have. There's less men, I feel like, in BMX now. But
Yeah.
like you look at a dude like Morgan Wade, like he's a savage.
Yeah,
Dude.
beast.
Like
Absolute beast.
he's the only dude that will fall 10 stories on the mega ramp, and before he's done sliding, he's either trying to do push-ups or the worm. Like everybody else is in the fetal position.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, Morgan is like, he is built for Mega Ramp. And
Yeah.
when I saw that he started riding Mega and X Games, I was not surprised in the slightest, dude.
Yeah.
Like, the dude is just so wild.
Yeah.
And when I had Rooftop on the show, he was actually a judge at one point for, you know, certain X Games stuff.
Yeah.
And we talked about the Mega Ramp competition where Morgan did the whip into, I think it was double whip into the
Yep.
roll in, 360 backflip no-hander
No-hander.
across, and then double tail whip one-hander. And we talked about that, and then we also talked about our Willie's run where he did backflip in, and then I think he did
The forward,
forward front bike flip.
Morgan should have won that because there's only one person on this planet that could do the double whip one-hander on that quarter, and that's Morgan.
I'm like, dude,
Like,
double whip one-hander. The only person in the world to do that trick is Morgan. It's not even just on
Exactly.
that quarter. Like,
Yeah.
it's literally Morgan. That dude is...
and being a rider who's done like obviously the bunny backflip drop in, like
Yeah.
they're not that hard. Like if it's on something big enough, you can actually chill on them. You can enjoy them.
Yeah, it's one of those tricks that honestly, like, I think if you could flip comfortably,
Absolutely.
you could probably do it. Like, I think the hardest part is literally just like, you've got to get over the fear of like, you kind of got to do it slow because you can't really
Yeah.
just pull or else you might hit, you know? I don't
Yeah.
know. But, you know, I've done like 3 backflips in my whole life. So don't take the advice
more
from
than me.
Yeah,
Three
there
more
we
than
go.
me, so
But yeah, with Morgan, dude, he is just so unreal. That dude is like top tier BMX man, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They don't make them like him anymore.
Oh man, it's from Texas. That's why.
Absolutely. Yeah, luckily I've been able to do projects with them. I've been able to travel the world with them. When X Games did the global stuff, like we would always room together. And then also doing bikes over Baghdad, like going over to like Kuwait, Qatar, Iraq, Bahrain, and doing all those shows for the U.S. troops. Like it was so much fun traveling with Morgan and all those guys.
Yeah, definitely. You got Morgan, Catfish, the rest of those dudes. That's got to be a party, you know?
Michael Laren.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
TJ Lavin was on one.
Oh
Shout out
my
to that
god,
guy.
that's incredible.
Yeah,
Dude.
he's unreal.
Yeah, he's a really nice dude. I got to talk to him at one point. That's like, I gotta get him on here, man. He's really cool.
TJ is
Yeah, I FaceTime with him like when I got out of the hospital because he was in a coma and he lost all his fine motor skills to his right hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like FaceTiming with him. He's like, "You'll get it back." Like he was there, like moving his fingers. And then he goes over and plays like the piano and was like, "Look, like this is what really helped me get my fine motor skills back with like learning where your fingers are at like in space, I guess." And like he gave me a lot of tips. He's like, "Text me, call me whenever you want."
Definitely.
that's amazing.
That dude's been incredible.
Yeah, I don't know how close you are with Scotty, but I feel like Scotty Kramer would be the guy to talk to.
Yeah. I don't think I would really like. I did a few Fox trips with him.
Yeah.
Like Mad Dog reached out to me.
Nice.
And like Cornastasio reached out to me because he's been in a few crazy car accidents and had head injuries and like it for me, like honestly, the amount of like pros that I looked up to that have reached out to me anytime I post something on social media with like words of encouragement and just kind of, you know, like you'll get through this, like keep going. Like it gets me super stoked. Like Aaron Ross always comments on my stuff.
Nice.
Like when I post something new and like, so many dudes have reached out to me. So like, it means a lot.
Definitely, dude. Yeah, all those dudes, man. Like, it's really nice to be able to kind of see that people know that you're going to be coming back and they just want to encourage it, right? They want you to know that, like, you have your place in BMX and you're going to be there, you know, and that you will be back, which is really cool, man. Aiken was one of those dudes who I had on my show.
Absolutely.
And Mikey is, like, you know, the perfect example of that. He literally went through all of that and he's back and he's still able to ride.
Yep.
And he's still killing it, you know?
Yeah, he's been one of the riders I've looked up to most. Like him and Van Homer were like the two dudes I was actually like starstruck over.
Nice.
I remember like there was one summer I was rooming with Van Homan at Bud's Barn, and like I would always come in at like 3 a.m. and I was like terrified to like wake Van up from sleep. I was like, I can't be the dude that wakes Van up in the middle of the night. Or like going to Salt Lake for Dew Tour, getting to ride Beringer's yard with Aiken, like went on a few road trips with him and Eddie Buckley from 50/50 BMX, and like hanging out with Mikey and his son Owen, like so many good memories.
Definitely, man. What was it like to ride Beringer's backyard? Because you would have went there when it was the old backyard, which is like the pinnacle of BMX, you know?
I'm bummed that I never got to film something there because I did stuff there that I feel like was never... Because they had like the water slide that went into the satellite dish.
Yep.
And I was able to go fast enough down the water slide and then jump the full satellite dish out of the water slide.
Oh my God.
Like bar ends, like grinding along the side of the water slide. Like it was just so much fun. Like the whole garage ramp, all the tight stuff, the bowl stuff in his garage, the shed roof, everything. And like back then, like going to every time there was the Dew Tour, like myself and Brian Hunt would always go and stay like extra weeks and ride everything around there, because around Utah there's a ton of good concrete parks. Mm-hmm. We'd go stay with Eddie from 50/50 BMX, and like that, like all those dudes have always been like family, so it's just been super fun.
Definitely, man. And you know, just riding those kind of really tight transition, weirdly built ramps is so much fun. I have a few buddies that have had garage ramps over the years. You know,
I've ridden like Jordan Bonificio's
nice.
He had it, and I actually I grew up with a friend who had a basement bowl in his parents' basement.
That is really wicked.
Like it had a curved wall ride. One side had like a 3-foot quarter. The other side had like a 3-foot quarter that went to vert. And like we were like, we grew up like looking up to all those dudes that had tight ramps.
Oh yeah.
So, and like I grew up with like a mini ramp in the attic of my parents' garage, and I always built like these tight contraptions.
There it is right there.
Yeah.
Like barn,
I can't even like tell you how many tricks I've learned up there, and like the amount of times I've went back and forth in that attic is for sure in the millions.
Dude, that's wicked. That's so cool, man. Jordan's ramp was really cool when he had that one at his old place in Cambridge. But I don't know if you've been following the process on his new ramp.
Looks incredible.
Dude,
I'm super excited.
I've been out there a couple times to help build. I'm actually going to be there tomorrow to help build. And dude, that place is just
there's a couple
nuts.
corner pocket airs that are like my way.
Oh yeah.
That I'm just like frothing over for when I am able to ride again.
Dude, definitely. And I know he's going to fill in quite a few of those big corners, but dude,
he's
a
genius when it comes to building ramps.
Honestly, man, if anybody in Canada is looking for someone to build a backyard ramp, I know that lumber is not the greatest price right now, but
mortgage your house.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out Riding Ramco.
Yeah, if you want a massive ramp or just something built in your backyard, hit up Riding Ramco, dude. Jordan is he is one of the smartest people on a BMX bike, in my opinion.
Yeah, like he's a genius.
Yeah, Jordan is just incredible, man. But yeah, let's move on from that. And you know, a couple minutes ago, we had mentioned some stuff about RedBull and kind of what was going on with them. And you know, you had mentioned that they are kind of they'll give you your dreams essentially.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because with you and Uncontainable and all these other projects that you've done, you know, you've just been able to do so much with them. How how does it even work with Uncontainable? How do you go to them and say, "Hey, this is my idea. This is what I want to do"?
I actually pitched Uncontainable to them for years, and they kind of like, they were always stoked on it, but they couldn't envision it the way I had it envisioned in my own head. So like in 2015 when I did the project, like they had a project fall through, and they had that budget. So I was able to take that budget and get the project started. And I put a ton of my own money into it because I was just so sick of it. I got to the point where I was like, I'd rather die an old man with less money in my bank account than this what if.
Yeah.
Like, because I know like I can do something special with this. So like, let's go. Like I started the project. I went back home to Nova Scotia. My best friend, Jason Leal, his dad owns a crane company. And like, he was the MVP for that project. He made everything possible. So like we found a place to rent containers. Like he sourced out like the cheapest place to do trucking to get the containers to his yard. And he went to his dad and was like, hey, I have this like trucking job. Like if you want it, you have to do it for this price. Like not lowballed, but like he found the best prices for lumber, everything, and sourced everything out. And then we got all the containers to his property. And my team manager at RedBull came out to like, once he's seen all the containers set up, he was like, okay, we can get behind this.
Yeah.
And then like I seen like more and more like support from them. And then yeah.
It's a 4-story building, basically. It's hard to envision, I bet, for people, you know? Like, honestly.
Definitely,
until
yeah.
it happens, and it's like, okay.
Do you know what this kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of snowboarding. Because in snowboarding, there's just so much of that huge, big drops into these big kind of transitions and whatnot. But with this, it's just so wild. Like, I did the math on how tall the average storage container is.
Yeah, it's about 9.5 feet.
No, it's like 8. Is it 9.5 or is it 8.6? I think it was 8.6. But
I think the 40-foot ones are 9.5.
Fair enough. Yeah. I was gonna say these are massive.
The 20-foot ones are the 8.6.
Yeah.
Sorry, there was a clip there. Like you barely ever see anybody doing that. Like Drew did the X truck.
Yeah,
you hold the X all the way. It's crazy.
That is.
And
nuts.
then if you just let go of your arms, the rotation of the 3 just finishes the bar spin, and you just have to re-grab your bars. Actually, like I seen Chris Doyle do it way back in the day, and then I can't remember. I think Glenn Johnson, I believe his name was.
Yeah,
like Trail Shredder, always had all these crazy, super unique combinations. I think he was the first one to do it.
Crazy.
And figure it out.
Definitely.
And
dude, this is like so insane. Like you're 40 feet up, and what I love about this too is that like for a long time, when I was at All In, I think this video came out.
Yeah.
We would watch this and try and figure out if there was an airbag underneath you. We were like, did they set it up, or like there was no way that there is one though.
Like this was super sketchy. Like in like I could reach out and push the wall ride and it would sway, and then like we literally just have cables trying to like hold it in place.
Yeah.
And it, like if you look at it, actually like twisted the frame of the curved wall ride with us trying to tighten it.
Yeah.
And tension it. Like my best friend Jason, like if he would have had it his way, he would have spent extra time to weld stuff on the containers to the actual wall ride so it wouldn't sway. But yeah, we had to rent the container yard for the long weekend to get that done. And like, I mean, literally all day it was super windy, and like we couldn't get the wall ride braced until like the last 5 minutes of good sunlight.
Yeah.
So I literally didn't even have time to like think about it. It was like I either do it now or I do it never.
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean, like it was to rent the container yard for the weekend.
Jesus.
So like,
yeah,
like if I don't do it now, I'm never getting to do it. Like I ended up doing the wall ride twice that day. Like It's probably better that the sunlight went down, because I probably would have kept going until either went wrong or something like that. But
dude, you would have been trying to truck out of it. Like,
I regret, like, if I wish I would have like aired the quarter after it and went around it opposite.
oh my god, that would have been
Like
insane.
I have so many ideas to do another container project, which I'm hopefully working towards.
Yeah, that's so sick. Dude, and what I found to be like the scariest thing ever, and it's probably just because I suck at manuals, was literally the manual on the top of that. Like, even just gapping and manualing that, not tricking into it, not tricking out of it, is like the scariest thing ever.
And he tricks out.
Yeah, he tricks in and out.
I've always been super comfortable with that stuff. I don't know why, but like in my head, all this makes sense.
Dude, the flip is like, oh my god.
That flip, to me, honest, it felt like flipping like a 5 foot tall box jump.
Really?
Like it was so like relaxed, and I just got to like enjoy it.
Yeah.
Dude, that's nuts. Yeah, even just the way that you rotate around, right? There's none of that like weird, really big pull. Like you honestly just kind of manualed and went with it.
Yeah, it's kind of like you just loop out from like when you try to bunny hop too hard and you like overrode, like just loop out. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, so I also wanted to mention this. At the end of this, you do an ice pick on the quarter, which is like, you know, we were always kind of blown away that we didn't really get to see too much of that. But then in the behind the scenes video, you actually do a bar spin from the side of the quarter over the top. And Derek and I at All In, when we saw that, we were like, that is the scariest thing in the video. Like, the curve wall is like, that's one thing, but to literally bar across it and be going at the direction where it's like you're landing kind of sideways on here is so scary. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about uncontainable, because that was such a huge project for you. How long did it really take to kind of get that project from the beginning, or even just in your head, to packing up the cameras, finishing the edit, and posting it?
Yeah, we spent like kind of the whole summer on it.
Yeah.
Like it took the land where the containers were, like I bought a bulldozer at one point, and I cleared all the land myself.
Wow.
And
oh my
so
God.
like going into it, I spent like 25 grand on the bulldozer.
Yeah. And then on the containers.
Plus all the diesel.
Yeah.
And then I think I ended up spending like $30K out of my own pocket for that project to make it possible.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't care. Like I want to make this a reality.
Definitely. Yeah, there's something when you work so hard on a project, or you have this idea that is so perfect, right? And like, even if nobody else is going to get behind it, you've got to make it possible. And it's sick to see that you're that kind of dude, that like, no matter what, you are going to do it. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about, let's see here. I don't think we've done anything on Simple Session yet.
No.
Which was pretty big for you, man. Simple Session was like,
just a simple session. You just gotta go over there and ride your bike.
Yeah. So was it 2010 that you went there for the first time?
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, 2010, 2011. I missed 1 year because I got hurt.
Yeah.
But I ended up going 5 times.
Dude, that is wild. Yeah, so when you went for, Simple Session and whatnot, obviously, you're killing it there. You've got all these huge tricks that you're doing and whatnot. But I think the first time you went there with like a week notice that you were going, essentially?
Yep.
Yeah, that is so crazy, man. And for you, like, being there, the course is kind of set up for you. Like, you're just one of those dudes who goes fast. You use the whole course.
Yeah,
and
I've always been like a super big fan of those courses because there's Wessel does an amazing job at designing them. Like, there's lines in the way the ramps are built. There's options on the courses where I can do stuff that separates the men from the boys.
Yeah, literally.
So it's like this year, like
that bar, dude.
That year, was like I had it in my mindset, like I'm winning this contest regardless. I'm like, even if I screw up my runs, I'm like, I'm just gonna keep climbing on top of this wall ride and doing stuff off it until they're like, Drew, we have to stop the contest.
Yeah, literally.
We'll give you the win. We get it. like just you've done enough.
Yeah, literally, dude.
So,
yeah, this is like, dude, just huge gaps all day. Yeah, it's really cool to see just the usage on the course, you know? And Simple Session always seems like the craziest, contest ever. Just like
It's
the
just-
after party,
yeah.
the whole community
Everything,
with it.
like the vibe of it, like especially too, like they do skate first, they do BMX second.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like the only event where BMX takes precedency
Oh.
over skateboarding.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, like I always go to the after parties, and like, because I don't have, like, I ride last because usually I qualify in the last group for finals. So I sleep till like 2 in the afternoon, and I don't even go to the contest until like 5 or 6, because then I don't have to sit around and wait to do my runs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, all of this stuff is nuts. There was a gap that you did there a second ago where you kind of went off the transition on the side of the box jump into the quarter. Big 270 drop in, which you're famous for. Dude, that is so wild to me.
It was only like a foot away from the wall too, and I think
Yeah.
it was a 14-foot wall.
Nuts,
The hard
dude.
thing about these contests is usually I drop in from something where I'm going full speed, and I'll always look up and there'll be a photographer or a filmer in my way, and I'm just like screaming, like, get out of my way.
Yeah.
Like,
While pedaling.
Yeah.
You're just
Yeah.
giving her.
yeah, there was like qualifying for that year, like I almost hit Pat Casey by accident.
Oh, man. Poor Pat, dude. Pat, he's an unreal rider too,
Yeah.
man. His backyard ramp is nuts. Jordan
Going over
built that.
to these contests, I was actually like Pat's like chaperone.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
And it's funny, Pat always used to use my license as his fake ID to get into the after parties. He, like, for the longest time, he had all my information, like, memorized, like my address, my height,
Dude.
everything.
Dude, when I get Pat on the show, I'm totally going to quiz him on it. And be like, all right, Pat, you need to give us Drew's stuff from this date, and he'll
Yeah.
know. That'll be wicked. Oh, man. Yeah, dude, this is another good one. Was 2012. The course looks incredible.
Yep, lots of big, fast lines.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks like the greatest box jump ever, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
They
nice.
always had incredible box jumps where
Yeah.
it just feels like you can do whatever you want on them, because it's like, I always call it like kind of like idiot proof. Like,
yeah.
there's like the landing is so big, there's so much real estate that you can just kind of like
Slide out.
land anywhere.
Yeah, fair enough, eh? I think it was, it's Tom, I can't remember his last name. It's some crazy Dutch last name, but he rides for Tall Order.
Oh yeah,
He was doing-
Van de Bogart.
Yeah, that dude was doing like 360 triple down whip over it. Like,
yeah,
that
yeah.
is so wild, you know?
Yeah, I had him on my team for that uncontained contest.
Yeah, which we're going to get into in a minute, because that was one of the coolest contests I've seen in a long time. And RedBull has just a reputation for holding some of the coolest contests. You know, we'll get into a couple of the ones that they've done over the years. But
When
yeah.
they do it right.
Yeah,
oh,
that's it.
absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah, dude, look at that. Yeah, these courses always look like a lot of fun. There's lots of space too, you know? Like, there's not like a
Absolutely.
thing right in the way, like right away, you know? You've kind of got some time when you're in the course going as
Yeah.
fast as you are to kind of figure out what you want to do.
Food
Dude.
whip.
And
That is so
everything
nuts.
has like its place. Like there's a rhyme or a reason for it. It's like,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like joke, like you kind of have to learn, like figure out how to unlock these courses, because Wessel puts a ramp here to give you speed for this, or to do that
So
pushback.
wild.
So
Yeah, he's a mad scientist with ramps
Yeah.
and lines and shit.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Wessel is definitely, there's a reason why he's known as like the best ramp builder. Like, he's a genius. Yeah, dude. This is like real young Drew, 2012, I think it is, which was another year that was just incredible for you. 2010, 2012 were both probably your best years in BMX, I'd say.
Yep.
You won Nora Cup both those years. You did Simple Session, and then obviously Toronto BMX Jam, and just everything else too. Your Joyride videos were done in those years. Obviously, huge truck driver, which we're gonna get into in a minute. But yeah, man, it's so wild to see you ride these courses. All right. There's young Pat Casey.
Little baby Pat.
Yeah, he looks hilarious. This is nuts, by the way. I have never understood this trick. Like, it's just so insane.
It's like a cannonball caveman.
Yeah.
Semenuk just did one in his real MTB mountain bike edit.
Nice. That is sick, dude. Did you watch all of those, by the way?
Yep.
The flip on the Dennis roof that Cam Zink does.
Yep.
Insane.
Dude, that should not have been done. Like,
I would love to go look at it, to be
I guess
honest.
it's set up for it, but I'm like, Dennis whipping it? I don't know what's scarier, because Dennis whipped it, and with a whip, I feel like if you just don't get that around...
The flip you're going to do, like, it's either you do it or you don't.
Yeah, and then the whip, I feel like there's other factors to it, where, like, you know, the flip is basically like, what are you going to do? You're either going to over-rotate, under-rotate, or jump off the bike. And when you've done so many of those flip drops like Cam Zink has...
You're not messing it up. Not to take anything away from it. He's just like, it's just kind of like another day at the office.
Dude, I kind of wonder if that spot is going to become the new El Toro, where, like, everyone goes to, like, you know, get something done. This is nuts. Like, landing so flat. Oof. Dude. Little catfish.
Little grandpa.
Yeah. I love it. When we had Brian Vowell on the show, he was
Right.
talking about catfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of grew up in the same area, didn't they? I believe.
I'm not 100% sure. I would
just at
assume.
contests and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Contests and whatnot. Yeah, there was a funny thing where I think it's the clip of Brian doing the, 360 hang 5 over the spine. And Catfish said that's not even a 5-foot spine. And then he just comments underneath, you're not even a 5-foot human. It's like...
Too good.
Oh, man. You got to love Catfish, though.
Yeah.
He can take it. If anybody can,
Absolutely.
deal with that, it's Catfish. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, let's move on from there. So, you know what also happened in 2010 that was really, really cool? And this is kind of when contests seemed to really pop off. And there was a lot of big companies doing huge BMX contests with original concepts. What I'm talking about is the Nike tunnel and the Nike pool.
Oh,
the
man.
pool was like...
Incredible.
Dude, yeah, the craziest thing ever. So let's talk about that, because I know you were a team captain for that.
Yep.
So how does that even come about? I don't think you were on RedBull at this point, were you? Maybe like just fresh on.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know I was like, I did the tunnel jam, I did the pool jam. I was bummed because they did the pool jam and they kept the skate park for a month afterwards and opened it to the public.
Dude.
Because I would have loved to stay and ride that course because it was incredible.
Yeah.
And even with the tunnel jam, like both years I got second. Like at the tunnel jam, I had the highest individual score. But since it was a team event, I always had like kind of like a weak link.
Mhm.
And like the first year, like first got a prize, second didn't get anything.
Yeah.
And then the Nike pool jam, got one of the highest scores there. And then it was just so much fun. Like the course was just, again, a lot of options to go fast.
Definitely. Yeah, it's crazy to think about, like, everybody in here that is just such a legend, even now. I know you hate that word, but, like, think about it, man. Like, Dennis was there, Chase Hawk is there, you were there, Sebastian Keep, and, like, all these huge name pros, and there's still...
Brian Foster was there.
Dude, BF.
He won
The best
trick with the gap to curve wall.
Yeah. Yeah, this is wild, man. I always love this video too. They did a really good job with this.
Yeah.
Nike had a really big thing in BMX for a little while there,
Well,
and then
just
it just kind of
because like you literally had no idea what you were showing up to. You just knew you didn't want to miss it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no course outline and stuff, eh?
Yeah,
like
no.
you just show up.
Yeah.
They did Huntington Beach too, right? They did a Huntington Beach contest.
Yeah. Yeah, you're flying to these random countries.
Yeah, that is.
You don't want to miss it,
dude. That's so wild.
Who designed these courses? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't know if you've ever had this feeling, but I've always been like, if I won the lottery, I would 100% build this fucking course, like a replica, and just open it up to the public, man. Because, like, Dude,
It was incredible.
it is such a great course when you actually take a look at everything here, right? You've got the street features over here, but it's all bowled out. So it's like there's a line everywhere you go.
Yeah, you're never running into a dead end.
Yeah, and then there's stuff on top of it. There's like a big deep section. It honestly, it's one of those courses, and I kind of feel like All In is like this, where you almost need only 5 people there because it gets hard to ride in there if there's any more people, right?
Little cluttered.
It's terrifying if you're trying to go fast and do lines.
Yeah, and there's other people because you just
Like,
don't know where
it's
they are.
mentally exhausting. Like jump something and try to look around the park to to try to make sure you're not going to run someone over.
Yeah. Yeah, as much as I love All In, there's just those little things about it, right? I love riding the bowl because it's super easy, like one person in, one person out. But the back section is like, gets a little tough because of how tall everything is.
Yeah, there's those blind areas.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, the hand plant over the diving board, that was so cool, man. That's a trick that I gotta learn, dude, is just hand plants in general. Ben Wallace. Dennis, oof. That was a massive 270 bar, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I miss watching Dennis ride skate parks when he had brakes.
Yeah, right? I mean, he's brakeless now. He still kills it. But
Oh, for sure. You can't take anything away from him, but
I feel like a lot of people that ride brakes are always kind of that way, though, because I ride front and back, and I love seeing people who ride brakes.
Yeah.
But I'm also kind of like, why do people ride brakeless? Like, it literally only gives you a disadvantage. Like, I guess if you don't want to true your wheels and you don't like upkeep, but
I rode brakeless because I couldn't afford them.
fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I rode brakeless for years too. And same thing. I just couldn't afford to fix it. Didn't know how.
Yeah.
And then, you throw them on. My thing is it's like, if you're putting on a gyro for your bike, it's like $200, which is a little expensive. But that's
Big time.
all pro model stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is, dude, so wild just seeing this contest,
Jeremiah Smith. Oh man,
Yeah, that's a name I
Super
haven't heard in a
underrated.
little while, but
Yeah.
he's so underrated.
like was one of my faves forever.
Yeah, definitely.
And he still rides. It's like it's not
Yeah.
like he just fell off. He still rides. Like,
Dude, that whip is nuts,
Crazy.
Drew. And yeah, you were sponsored by Red Bull. You can see the helmet there. This must have been like,
little bowl run,
yeah.
Little bull. That's like a
Like-
12-foot quarter.
No.
little vert run.
Damn, dude. No one has that. The bar to ice, just the way that like his hands are with the bar. It's not a bust. It's full throw.
There was one year at Simple Session where I didn't know what to do for my last trick,
Yeah,
and I iced one of the railings on the scaffolding,
yeah.
and he was like, "Do a bar to ice for your last trick." So I was like, "Okay." And then I remember a few years ago, he's like, "Hey, remember that time I suggested you to do that bar to ice for your last trick at Simple Session?"
Yeah,
I was like, "Kinda, I do. Well, I do now,
yeah.
but definitely a rad one for me. Like
So wild.
getting reminded of something like that by Van Holman."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a clip of Harry Main there doing the flare drop in on that, which is like so wild, especially back then because nobody was doing them. I think he was
No.
the only guy. And now it seems like if somebody is riding like X Games and they don't do flare drop in, it just seems weird, It's become such a big popular trick, but
But I think that's one of the problems is everybody's doing what
yeah,
everybody else is doing.
literally, yeah,
There's
exactly.
Everyone's a carbon copy of everybody else.
Yeah, essentially, right? Dude,
Baldock.
so nuts. Look at Catfish. Oh, man. Dude, Garrett, that is so wild. To, like, bar into that and bar out is nuts.
He's a wizard.
Yeah, he's too good, man. He's
Yeah.
literally, like, yeah, he's...
He's been the best street rider in the world for over the last 10 years.
Do you remember seeing
Oh.
clips of him? By the way, dude, what was that? It's like a 12-foot gap, right?
Yeah,
Back?
it's like 12 feet back, 5-foot quarter, and it was slippery pool tile.
Yeah.
The time I actually pulled it was the only time my wheels didn't slide up the wall.
That is
Really?
nuts.
Yeah, there's one time that my bike slipped, it fell down first and bounced up and hit me in the face.
Oof. Yeah, it's rough, man. Yeah, you can see slippery pool tiles.
Yeah.
You're basically dropping and going.
Yeah, I left that contest with 2 bruised heels And I
Oof.
literally got off the plane flying back to Toronto, and I couldn't walk.
Oh my god.
It was miserable.
Yeah, that is rough, dude. Yeah, that was one of those contests, man, that Nike did a really good job with that, honestly. Shout out to them, because that was...
Yeah, they killed it.
Yeah,
that was
amazing.
awesome. Definitely. And while we're on the topic of cool contests, I want to talk about some of the Red Bull stuff, because I brought that up a couple minutes ago. Red Bull has always had these really, really, really cool contests over the years. Framed reactions, you know, the Dirt Conquerors contest. And then there was even the Quartermaster that Sebastian Keep kind of set up with them. But yeah, out of all of those, man, like, for Dirt Conquerors, I always felt like that was really cool, and I don't know what happened to the course afterward. I would imagine
it just got plowed. It was terrifying. It was like,
oh, dude,
a straight up cheese grater. Like, there's a kid from Colombia that literally front flipped something, went over the bars, slid on his hands, and had to get like reconstructive hand surgery because it literally just ripped all his skin off his fingers. Like, if you were able to like pull all your skin off your hand.
Oh my god,
it was just disgusting looking.
Yeah,
jeez.
Yeah, that's really rough. Unfortunately, I guess that's just part of a dirt contest, right?
Absolutely.
Like, at least with the dirt that they were using there. But the whole idea behind it was so cool, man. Like, just to have a massive park course essentially, and just, all right, guys, it's made out of dirt. Figure it out, you know.
Yeah, I remember I got third place at one of them. I literally just listened to the judges. The judges were like, "We're looking for 2 different runs."
Yeah,
like, don't just do like one
copy.
A good run, do it again. Like, I literally in my first run I went left. Next run I went right. I just listened to the judges and it paid off. So.
Yeah, I've always felt like that's something that we see a lot of in BMX, especially when you get into these big high-level contests, is like, all right, I'm going to figure out what the best run that I can do is, and I'm just going to do it twice. Because I guess, like, in theory, right, if they're judging on course usage, the tricks that you do, and the way that you're landing them, it's kind of the perfect thing to do, right, is you just master that one thing.
I wish I would have known that, because there was years at X Games where I would have one really good scoring run, and it's like, if I would have just dropped in and done it again, I would have like medaled at that contest. Like, it would have bettered my career, because like you would always watch like Scotty just do his run over and over and over again, and just get those 2 good scores, which would put him in a medal contention.
Definitely, yeah, and it's something that people have different opinions on it. I personally think we got to see variation, man. Like, if you did a flip double whip in the last run, I don't want to see it over the same box jump again. I want to see a different trick, right? Like, it's I don't know, it's just something that I kind of look at as like, we should move away from that. But I mean, I'm not an X Games judge, you know. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's tough. Like, I mean, judging a contest is like probably the worst job to have.
Oh my god, dude.
Like, I remember going to Colombia and like judging a dirt contest with Brian Hunt, and then like after the contest you had these kids who like kind of look up to you, but they're like, hey, like, why did I get 7th and not 6th? And like, you're trying to explain in broken Spanish, being like, oh, the kid in 6th was a little bit more extended with his tricks, or like did a little bit more variation, but you're trying not to break this kid's heart at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, that contest was everything to him, but you're telling him
you're not quite good enough.
Yeah, like
exactly.
You're like trying to be nice, but being a judge is miserable. I will never do that job.
Yeah, I think it's for certain people, man. I know Silva does it every year at Toronto BMX Jam, and props to him, because
absolutely.
Yeah, he knows, and like, you know, Silva, he knows, like, he knows how to do it.
He's been
really
around
good at
long
it.
enough.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Ridden a lot of contests himself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he knows exactly what he's doing with that. But yeah, let's talk framed reactions here quickly.
Yep.
So this contest was really cool. This is 2013. Red Bull did this, and the whole concept was that it's basically got moving parts within it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find too much online about certain stuff with that. So why don't you just kind of explain it for us?
There was like one kind of lighthouse feature where if you wall tapped it or like hit it at the beginning of the run, it would change the course later at the end. It would like either like put a drawbridge up or down, which Morgan to this day is still bitter about, because he hit one of the features and it didn't fully change for him, and like it dropped the drawbridge and wasn't fully flush with the ground, so it just like screwed him, took all his speed away, like he couldn't finish his run.
Yeah.
Really?
And so he's still bitter about that. Love you, Morgan. But and like at the very end of the course, there was a big quarter where in practice we were dropping in and jumping the box jump, landing backwards up to this platform, and we were literally training it in practice. Did it over and over and over again. Like I did my run, finished it, and like 3'd it backwards, and I was able to win that contest. But like Morgan drops in to jump it backwards and got a huge gust of wind, and just has to jump off and literally broke a full true 2x6 with his ribs, and then falls flat to his back.
Oh my!
Like, talk about a man.
Yeah.
He breaks like a true 2-inch by 6-inch board with his ribs, and then falls flat to his back because of the wind screwed him.
Yeah. Pulled him out of the air.
Yeah.
That is so wild, dude.
But I mean, again, like big ramps, super fun course. Like again, shout out to RedBull for doing it right. Like that contest was super fun. Like the day before the contest, they took us on this like boat cruise, and we were like where we ate dinner, and Morgan and myself, we would jump off the boat and run through the streets of Amsterdam, and then jump off the bridges back onto the boat. And we ended up having the police called on us. But again, just so having good times with good people. So
yeah,
love it.
Yeah, definitely, man. I feel like for a lot of riders like yourself who are more park oriented and you kind of ride a lot of these contests and whatnot, these are the kind of memories that you'll make with these people. Whereas if you're a street rider, you're going to make a lot of these memories on trips, filming, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's really cool that like you can still get that within there, right? Like, especially with people like Morgan, because that dude is just, he's
down for anything, anytime.
Yeah. Yeah. He's unreal, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude is he's too good on a bike, and like he's just one of those dudes that like everyone has looked at for years, and he will still be there 10 years from now, just killing it.
He's a true's man's man.
Yeah, definitely.
And a nice guy though.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Like, you look at him and he's like, oh, okay, that's a burly dude, and then he's a nice dude.
Yeah.
Sick dude.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, so let's talk here about Raditudes, if you're down with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Raditudes is really cool, and it was something that I actually used to watch like whenever it would come out right away. So yeah, with that, it was like, you know, done through YouTube with RedBull, and it had you, Mike Hucker, and
Anthony.
Yeah, and Anthony. So collectively, like 3 incredible riders who all have their own great personalities, which is really cool.
Yeah, I lived with Anthony at the time. Brandon Dosh was living with us. And they always like spun it like we all lived together. Hucker actually lived a mile down the road at his parents' place, but he would always come over to our house and use our toilet paper. He would just show up and blow up our bathroom and just take off.
Dude, that is so funny.
Damn you, Hucker.
Oh man, I had Adam from Station BMX in Hamilton on a couple months ago. It's probably like a year ago now. But he talked about having a dude who would just come into his shop and just every day use the washroom. And he did it for like, 3 months. And then finally he's like, nope, washroom's out of order.
Yeah.
Just put the sign there.
No Huckers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no huggers allowed.
Dude, that's the ultimate. One of these days, you're just going to get a knock on your door and it's going to be Hucker. Like, hey man, I'm going to use your washroom. Did you just fly here?
Yeah,
like
pretty
for
much.
this?
Yeah, during that series, like I would see Hucker more on road trips and at contests than actually in California, even though he lived a mile down the road from me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's wild. So what were some of your favorite moments from that show? Because there was 2 seasons, so there's lots of content that you guys put out.
Yeah. No, for me, it was just kind of like, there's like little time keeps of my life
Yeah.
that I get to go back and watch of I mean, filming the intro was super fun. Like, it's just me riding a little Z50 through the house, and there's Hucker with a bunch of snakes. I remember at one point there was a 10-foot boa that he just left with us while we were filming. And like nobody knows anything about snakes, and I just have a 10-foot boa around my neck. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going home for my anaconda."
Like what?
And then he shows back up, and at one point in the garage, there's a 10-foot boa around his neck, choking him out. And like his other snake that he's holding is trying to attack the snake around his neck, and he starts going blue. And I'm like, "Hucker, you need some help?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like just on the floor of the garage, like. Ugh.
Yeah, this is a good one too. This is like you guys at Joyride.
Dean Cusin.
That dude is unreal.
I wish he would have had a better career in BMX. I just wish like BMX had the ability to have a place for dudes like that.
Yeah.
That actually sucked. I almost fell off the back of the motorcycle because it was a full pail of water that Anthony threw at me. I almost died.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our old house.
That is quite the intro. I love it. Like, you
Yeah.
gotta have a good intro that kind of shows all the personalities and whatnot. And you guys definitely nailed it, you know?
Yeah.
Hucker with the snakes. That's so wild. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that stuff, though, because it kind of gave you a look into, kind of what you guys were up to, you know? And at times, like, it showed some of the stuff that high-level park riders have to go through to train and, get ready. There was the whole thing that you guys did at Woodward with the gymnast who, everybody in the YouTube comments was falling in love with, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But
little Tyler Finanglo was like falling in love on the screen.
Yeah, he's like turning 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude is unreal too, man.
Absolutely.
He's nuts. But yeah, just that whole thing where you kind of got to see the behind the scenes stuff. You guys did a whole thing talking about trampolining and whatnot, and like learning to kind of figure out where you are in the air instead of like
air awareness and stuff like that.
Yeah, that stuff must honestly do a lot. Like
RedBull has always done so much with all that stuff. Like I remember even for myself, like doing that trampoline training, and then I went back and started doing like 360 flips again, and I was like, I see everything now.
Yeah.
Before it was like I would just go by full feeling, and after doing like the air awareness stuff, like I would be like, okay, I'm taking off. I can see the top of the landing there. I'm getting ready to pump. It was just a whole different feeling.
Yeah, I would imagine that just different sports in general will use that, right? Like when you think about like
a lot of snowboarding uses it. They do a ton of trampoline training.
Yeah.
For like, well, they're doing like triple corks and
it's crazy stuff.
Where are you at in the air? You got to know.
Yeah, I would assume that a lot of mega ramp dudes also get really into that. Maybe, I don't know.
Gosh, I don't know.
They say you're in the air for so long with that. It's pretty wild. Did you ever consider riding mega ramp at all? I feel like that would be your thing, man. I don't know. I just
no. I've always been terrified of the quarter afterwards.
Yeah.
Like if they put a wall ride on it or a sub box.
Yeah. Different story.
Maybe. Yeah. But
big old ice bar.
Yeah.
They I think it was last year they had it where they just had like kind of like a flat drop into the roll in and did like a jam session on that. That looks super fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like the jump isn't that bad. It's just the quarter afterwards.
Definitely. And
it's a serious thing.
That's the thing, right? Like the jump is actually pretty mellow when you look at it. Like I know that the Fids, he's like in his 50s, and he did it on the Nitro one, which to Resi, but he did a huge nothing over it, and he was saying that like it's not that bad, man. Like as long as you kind of know how to control your bike in the air, you're pretty much set. Yep. Did you ever ride like the Woodward, Pennsylvania one?
Yeah,
because it's like a mini mega.
Yeah, that one's super fun. And then Woodward, Pennsylvania actually had the mega airbag. Yeah. Like I was at Woodward Camp when Anthony did the first double fronty on it.
Oh my God, dude.
Wow. And then went to X Games and did it.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
Progression.
Yeah.
He took it somewhere.
Yeah, Anthony, first dude to do a double front flip, and like it's crazy to see that, And I think now we've seen triple, maybe quad. I don't know. It's all the airbag though.
Yeah,
You know, it's
all-
not wood.
Yeah, our Willie has probably he's a freak of nature. Like when it comes to air awareness,
Oh, dude. Yeah.
he can just take off at any axis and figure out how to get back to wheels.
Right to tires, rubber
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, I love that dude. He's just so crazy. You know, I know there's a lot of hate in BMX towards him because he came from scootering, but the dude
Yeah.
kills it on a BMX, man. You got to admit
I
it.
have nothing but respect, especially
Yeah.
like he always does those fronty flares on the mega quarter.
Dude, that is like a trick that should never be done. Like that trick on a 6-foot quarter already looks terrifying. And like when you really consider it and you really start to figure out how it works, is like if you don't get the front pop, you're done.
Yeah,
Like
you're belly flopping.
I think-
yeah.
Was it Craig Mass that started doing them?
Yep,
I think so, yeah.
Greg was the first dude.
Crazy. So
Craig
crazy.
also, there's a video on Pink Bike of him doing a flare off the deck of his mini ramp, but
Yeah.
like not like the deck, like the deck on the bottom.
Yeah, I think there was like a 2x4 that he used to like.
Yeah,
bump
he
jump
like
off
bump
of.
jump flared it and like what the fuck, man?
Yeah,
That's
it's
so
insane.
wild.
That dude again, like he did so much insane stuff, like but just kind of like I did like a RedBull trip with him, like where we did the boat tour
Mm-hmm.
in Florida, RedBull barge spin. He was on that, and I know that RedBull was kind of looking at him as a possible like as a sponsorship. But,
Yep.
it just never ever worked out for him. But like I would stay with him in Greenville and ride quite often.
Dude, that is wicked.
Yeah, he was always super rad.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he would yeah, he's just so good. Like there's all those like weird crazy park tricks that he was really really talented with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, what else do we got here? I got so much stuff that I want to talk about, so I just want to make sure that we get to like
Yeah.
the main stuff. You know, how are you guys doing though? Because we're
I'm
getting close.
doing
To,
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
podcasts are easy to like
once you get into it, yeah,
drag out. It's like you don't really have to prepare for them because it's literally just a conversation.
yeah. I always do so much like preparing. Like literally, I sent you my list of like notes last night,
Yeah,
and it's ridiculous.
I couldn't sleep last night because I was like thinking of stuff. I'm like, man, I grew up in like the golden era of BMX, like before
Yeah.
the internet, before like social media, before everybody was like rushing to be like world's first. I'm the first one to do this. Where
Yeah.
it's like, dude, no one cares. Like, yeah, you did this new trick. It's super impressive. Take an extra 5 minutes and film 10 more tricks and put an edit out
Yeah.
versus like this world's first BS.
Yeah, the whole world's first argument is always funny to me because it's like, cool, you're the first guy to do
Yeah,
it.
but they don't know anything about BMX history.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, world's first. It's like, I hate to break it to you. Ruben was doing that 30 years ago on a 40-pound Huffy.
yeah,
Like, you know nothing about BMX history. Like, people have been doing that for years.
yeah, definitely. There's certain things that like haven't been touched,
Yeah.
and like Brian Vowell is one of them with the 360 to hang five.
Yep.
No one's done it
No.
since. No one else on a bike, I don't think, has done it. And even when he was on the show, we talked
Yeah.
about potentially who could do it, and like there was a very small list of names. Like,
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, and he was saying that like maybe if people throw front brakes on again, it might come back.
Yeah.
But even then, it's
But even like shout out to Ruben
yeah,
because
Ruben, of course.
I heard through the grapevine, like he was the first rider doing flare no-handers.
Mhm.
And then Hoffman did it, but like he was like, I've been doing these in Spain for like 10 years.
Yep.
But
Unfortunately, some people don't have exposure.
yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
That's the thing, right? And when Vowell was on, we talked about the 360 whip because for years people were saying that Brian was the first one to do a 360 whip, and he agrees. He says, I'm not 100% sure,
Yeah.
but there hasn't been video proof. We haven't like had proof from anybody else.
Yeah.
We've tried to figure it out. We just haven't been able to. So he says that, if anything comes out and it's able to prove it, then, that person did it first. But there was talk of someone else doing 360 whips first and like all this other stuff. And I don't know, man, it's tough. I guess what it comes down to is exposure, right? Because there is
Absolutely.
stuff where, people just maybe aren't going to get the exposure that they deserve for
Yeah.
doing something like that.
But you also have to care about being like
Oh,
that credit.
yeah.
Because like I'm sure there's tons of stuff that I've done that I could quote unquote be like, oh, this is a world's first, but
Yeah.
I have zero care about any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at what point does it really count as a world's first anymore when it's like you've combined 8 other tricks into
Yeah,
one? It's like, oh, I'm the
absolutely.
first one to do 8 other tricks
Yeah.
in this one air.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but you're not the first person to do that trick, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, because someone posted a dude doing a quad flip the other day on Instagram,
mhm.
and I was like, okay, like build like a replica scaffold landing with skate light on it, do it 100 times to this marshmallow airbag landing, and then move over 15 feet and do it on something real.
Mhm.
And like, I only had a couple comments like, oh, what are you trying to kill this dude? But look at Josh Sheehan and doing a triple flip on a 450
Yeah.
on a dirt bike. He did that to a scaffold landing with legit skate light on it. Like, there's no difference. Like, yeah,
Definitely.
like all these crazy tricks, they can be done safely. And that's what Josh Sheehan did. They did the airbags, they did all the proper thing. I think they built 7 different lips for him to figure out how to actually get the rotation around. They just did their proper homework.
Definitely. Yeah.
There's no excuse to be like, oh, I can't do this because I don't have the right ramp.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, like, even if you're a person who isn't well known, but you've done it to an airbag or something like that,
Yeah.
you can get the right ramp. And there's a clip that I guess we could talk about it because it's actually posted now. But have you seen the clip of Ryan Guzman trying the triple flare?
I have.
Yeah. So that's
I
at
was
all.
actually just about to say shout out to Guzman because
Yeah.
his air awareness with those, like he can like fire out double flares on
Dude.
on command.
Yeah.
The dude literally will show up at Joyride, double flip the Resi, come around, not even finish, not come up to the top. He will come around, air, and then double flare right afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's the first run of the day. Like, the dude is so good with his air awareness, like you were saying, and
Absolutely.
just everything like that. And for him, he's so close to that triple flare that if he tried it on a real ramp,
I think it would just rip the back end off his bike.
it would probably do
You'd
that.
have to put some extra braces on the back end
Yeah.
of that bad boy.
Dude, it would get pretty gnarly, like it's just one of those things though where like the airbag landing that they were using, it's more of a bank.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing that they could do is literally just build a platform that the airbag will sit on and put it on more of an angle, and maybe that'll work.
Yeah.
But in reality, I think he just needs to do it like 300 times, get it around every single time, and just
Or
try it
go
on
ride
something.
The mini mega Resi at Woodward.
Yeah, that would be a good one, actually. Do they have a mini mega Resi there?
Yep. Or
wow.
no, not mini mega Resi. Sorry, mini vert Resi.
There you go. Yeah.
From the
You just
lot
pull
8.
around, yeah.
Yeah, I bet you that would work. That would be insane, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dude, it's so wild to think about that. I can't even think about like how you would spot where you're going. Like, do you spot on the first rotation? Okay, this is where I am. Like, how do you, dude?
Don't ask me.
Fair enough, eh? Oh man. So before we move on to your accident and everything, I really wanted to talk about Uncontained because this was just another really cool RedBull project that you guys got to work on, and obviously it was really birthed from your video that you did, Uncontainable. So I kind of want to know how involved you were on the project from start to beginning, how much of it was even like, the course design. Did you really do, and all of that,
No, they kind of handle the whole course design.
Yeah, I kind of figured that because it would give you an advantage, right? Like,
Yeah, I think Wessel was hired to design the course, and like it was super quick. Didn't really have as much time as he wanted to, and I know that they had like venues changes as well that they had to like work around. But
Also, that wasn't the original building then. That wasn't the original building then.
I can't remember off
Maybe.
the top of my head.
Okay.
But yeah, it was based off my first container project, and I originally pitched to do like uncontainable as a contest, but it never ever worked out.
yeah, it would be insane to try and do a contest at like, the blue ramps that you would set up with all the containers and whatnot. That would be really, really rad. But I don't know how many people would actually be able to
Yeah.
fully
With that.
ride that.
Yeah, you'd have to have a really big prize purse to like
Well,
get
incentivize people.
interested too. And unfortunately, like Morgan fell when he came out for it, and when he fell, it became real.
Oh,
Like before, it was like we would sit there and just kind of like giggle, like, look how big this is. But like Morgan fell, knocked himself out, peed blood, and like
Yeah.
then like as soon as that happened, it became real. Like you can't just like this is real life. Like
Yeah.
if it goes wrong, it goes wrong.
Yeah, man. Morgan doesn't have a very good track record when he hangs out with you, because at this contest he broke his foot. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's wild, eh?
Yeah. Or the
Well,
course didn't work for him at Framed Reactions.
Yeah. Dude, this course is nuts. I love the bowl up at the top, and then you just go down and there's just this huge ramp. And like the gap that everybody was doing from the quarter into the wall.
Pushback.
Dude, it's kind of like you have to do that. Where else are you going to go, you know?
Yeah. The course could have been designed better for sure. Like I
Mhm.
wish like cuz like speed wise, like once you were down bottom, you couldn't really do anything with it. Like you couldn't get back up top.
Yeah. You kind of
So-
had to plan out your runs to use the whole course, right? Like you
Yeah.
drop in on the mega and then you come in.
Yeah.
And that thing was literally a mega ramp. Like the first jump was seriously so tall.
Well, even too, like we dropped in, we got one run, and then there was like a best trick that was like, it was like 10 minutes long, but it honestly like was like, felt like that.
Yeah.
Because like I dropped out of the ceiling for my first best trick, went up to the top of the roll-in, dropped in for like the big step up, and as soon as like I landed, it was like done and over with. I was like, this sucks because like it was like the best contest atmosphere, and then like it was over too quick.
Mm-hmm. I can show the video.
It could have been modified and way better.
Definitely.
But I mean, until you do it the first time, you never know.
Yeah, there was some crazy clips here. I know Tom like got pretty hurt at the beginning there, just jumping that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I fell literally like 10 minutes before finals and like busted my face up,
Mm-hmm.
knocked myself silly.
You love hitting your face in contests.
I need to stop that track record.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, it's
So,
just
like,
because
if
you go.
watch the broadcast, like I have like a massive eyebrow and
Yeah.
black eye. And,
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you're like climbing the rafters at one point. I'll show that.
Yeah.
How did you even get up there for that? Was there like a little pathway that you guys kind of figured out, or?
I've always been a monkey.
Yeah. Well, Toronto BMX Jam proves that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, like every year at Toronto BMX Jam, I would go early, and I would buy a rope, and I would show up, and I would put the rope up in the rafters, so I could pull my bike up there. And even one year, like before I did the 270 off the windowsill, I went to Joyride the night before and got Mark to grab me a 2x6, put it beside a wall, and I tried to like shimmy along and set my bicycle on the 2x6 and like get onto my bike and like just do a bunny hop 270 off it,
Yeah.
like in the hallway at Joyride. And I was like, okay, it works.
Dude.
I just know like once it's go time at a contest and I have that adrenaline, like it's game on.
Well, just like the crashes prove it, right? Like you
Yeah.
like that you posted that recently. You did
Yeah.
that 270, and as you're setting up, you fell. You're right. You just like pointed at the judge one more time. Hang
Yeah.
on, 1 sec.
Yeah,
There we
that sucked.
go.
I literally lost I started falling away from the windowsill.
Yeah.
So I tried to get on my bike and go, but I couldn't. And then I just literally compressed off the ground and bounced back up to my feet
Yeah.
and was like, one more sec. That's not what's supposed to happen.
That wasn't my run.
Here we
Yeah.
go. So this is the whip drop in off of this. Dude, that is so gnarly.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's too crazy.
There's so
dude.
much more I wish I could have done on that course.
That was sick. The pegs up to the top. And then a second ago you guys were talking about the 270 drop in
Yeah.
at Metro and how it didn't really go as planned. So I'll show that.
Look at that eye. Yeah,
Yeah.
the big eye there.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Jeez.
Yeah, Tom kills it, dude. That guy is so good.
This contest was months after a broken femur as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So like for me, it was kind of like that moment, like where it's like I didn't know if I was even going to be able to ride this contest.
And then it was comeback season.
Definitely.
Like nothing. Came right back.
Yeah, man. The femur thing, I watched that earlier, and I was like, oof. I don't like watching that kind of stuff, so it's like...
Yeah, well, it sucks for me because I know what it feels like for your leg to pivot in the middle of your thigh.
Yeah.
And I just remember, like, I still have a ramp to fall down. I fell down. I pulled my leg straight.
Yeah.
And then the medical staff came home. I was like, I broke my femur.
Yeah, you could see it, like, right as soon as you touch the ground. But there, like, you bounced off the ground here, and then got back up and did it.
Here we go. Yeah, so then the next clip is you doing it. But, like, literally, you can
next
tell
year
that...
I did the 270 bar off it.
Ooh, yeah, the 270 bar is nuts. Now, when
I'm just glad it didn't go a third year because I would have had to, like, 270 whip off it or something.
Fair enough. Dude, that is so wild.
There's a heater right above the windowsill that my helmet's super close to every time.
You gotta kind of tuck it in.
I'm trying to duck at the same time.
Yeah, I hate balancing on my bike on, like, you know, a ledge that's a little skinny. To even be, like, up there and you've got a wall is, like, that's so crazy, man.
A window, your bar end hits, you go through the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another day at the office.
Yeah.
Mr. Mike Escamilla with the heavy comment. It's so wild. I just want to talk about all the ideas that you have for coming back, because I know that you've mentioned so much on, you know, like, when I get back, we're going to do all this stuff. I kind of want to know what some of these ideas are, and we'll think about the future if you're down.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to do like a second. I want to do another Joyride edit. I want it to be like, because I've had one we showed an earlier, like Drew Bezanson versus Joyride 150. I want to do a Drew Bezanson versus Joyride 152. I have my backyard ramp that no one's really seen. I want to film a full backyard ramp edit. I want to film an all dirt edit. I want to film an all street edit. I want to go to that Battle of Hastings Park and film an edit there.
Yeah.
That'd
be sweet.
My friend's been building a park in Amsterdam. I want to go film a full edit there. A lot of filming project, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I think like that's where I can really
show what you do.
I want to do another container project, but for that, like, I'm only doing it if I can get the proper budget, because it's like
so expensive. Yeah,
it's just crazy. But I think like if I can get it all lined up, I can get the proper budget for it, and I can really make something special. And then, I mean, for me, I've always enjoyed competing. I would love to go back and ride more simple sessions. For a while there, it was like the last year I went, like my friend Dave Mavro was filming, and before finals, I went over to him. I was like, Dave, I'm like, just remind me to be the same person whether I win or lose today, because of how much pressure I put on myself at that contest. Obviously, anytime I do well at a contest, I want to do as well as I did the year before. So like, I put so much pressure on myself to win again that it wasn't as enjoyable as it was for me in years past. So, and then obviously what we have coming up later this year, I have my sights set on the Olympics in 2024.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
And like, I literally have enough video content, like, or projects that I want to do from now until 2024, where I feel like if I can go get an Olympic medal in 2024, then that will just kind of lead into being able to get the proper budget to do a second container project.
Absolutely. That's a great way of looking at it. Dude, you would make an incredible coach.
I've talked to Jeffrey Whaley about it, because I would love to be a coach. Like, I've even thought about, obviously, too, like, a month or two ago, I had, like, the thought of, like, what if, like, I never am able to ride again? Like, what if, you know, like, what if that is something and I was like, what am I going to do that I'm going to get fulfillment in my life moving forward? And like, for me, like, I would love to work with the next generation of riders. Like my friend Ben Weber Kramer.
Sorry to interrupt. That kid is so goddamn good. I talk
insane.
about him on the show all the time. And what I love about him, he is so knowledgeable. He's 15 years old, and that kid knows so much about
insane.
BMX.
I had a conversation when he was like 12 years old, and he sat me down and was like, man, I have so much weight on my shoulders. And I was like, why? You're 12. He's like, yeah, but he's like, I'm the next generation of like Canadian BMX. He's like, I have to follow up what you've done so far. And I'm like,
it's so true, though.
And I'm like, how is a 12-year-old in this mindset, like thinking this at this age? Like, how are you this smart already?
Yeah.
Like I would, like, I love that I'm able to like mentor that kid and help him. And like I would get so much fulfillment out of training, because for myself, like, what I've done leading in for like preparation for X Games, big contests, obviously cardio, strength training. Like, I could do everything. Like, I could take a kid to Joyride and like take them to the gym for an hour or two, then go ride with them in the park, help them in the park. And I've always been super good at like finding ways to baby step into tricks that you want to learn and learning it safely. And like, I've always just like been super methodical when it comes to stuff like that. So like, moving forward, I would love to get into, you know, training the next generation, helping kids in the gym with nutrition, stretching, riding, learning new tricks, like the way to look at it and learn it safely. And like, there's such a demand for that. Like, parents would pay top dollar for that.
Well, especially with your name on it, dude. Like, and what I love too is you mentioned there nutrition, and that is such a huge part of being a top tier BMX rider.
Absolutely.
And like, at your level, you literally have to be looking at everything that you're doing and be thinking, how can I improve so that I can be better on a bike, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Like the last, you know, what am I? I'm 32 now. Since I was like 14 or 15, I've paid attention to every food I've put into my body, how it makes me feel, how much energy it gives me, how it's going to make me a better athlete. And like, yeah, like, it's been a treat this last 3 months, because being in the hospital, being on feeding tubes for 3 months, like, I went into the hospital at 155 pounds and came out of the hospital at 128 pounds.
yeah, that is
so
wild.
literally for 3 months, I got to eat whatever I wanted, because I'm like, I literally got to fatten myself back up.
Definitely.
And like, I just took advantage of like treating myself to all the foods that I ever wanted. Because like 5 years ago, like, if I wanted a slice of pizza, like, I would beat myself up. I would guilt trip myself for having a slice of pizza or a poutine or a burger. Like, I would just be so hard on myself, because I'm like, you're like, get the most out of yourself. Like, you only have one chance at life. So
yeah, and especially when you're on that kind of a level, right? Because a lot of these dudes who are training through the Olympics right now, the way that they rode beforehand was like literally the same as being an Olympic athlete.
Absolutely.
Like, everything that they're doing outside of it, you know?
Yeah. Like with Nick Bruce, like, that dude was already a top tier athlete before Olympics even came into the question. But like, yeah, he's a machine. Like, love riding with Nick. His new private warehouse is super fun.
Oh my god,
the
that
brew
place
horse,
is wild.
the brew house. Sorry. Yeah, he's no shy of like putting in the work. So I'm excited to watch him ride. Like, his consistency, his power he's definitely, I feel like he's going to be on the podium.
Oh, definitely, man. Yeah. He'll definitely be on there. Nick is just one of those dudes that, like, his riding, the way that he rides, and the fact that he is so clean with everything too. Like, everything that dude does.
And he's not afraid to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I did the Mongoose contest with him, and like he was doing flare drop-ins on the Mega Ram quarter, and it's like he's not afraid to man up when it comes to it.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, you can learn stuff like on an airbag or Resi, and it's scary doing it on a real ramp, but like he's not afraid of commitment.
Yeah,
Definitely.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I feel bad for the ramps.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's like Morgan Wade shit though. Like,
I
you
remember
come
talking
down.
to Morgan, be like, you know, like how many skate parks have you broken? He was like, there's one like road trip he went on where he broke the park every time.
Go to a prefab park and they have to call the city in.
Yeah. It's like, all right, guys, we need to put in a couple more, nails in there.
Yeah, I-beams.
There's that clip of him recently. He did like the back rail ice and he went through the back rail. Jeez.
Yeah, dude, he's next level.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see kind of what Mr. Little Ben Weber Kramer is going to pull off, and especially with everything with COVID, because he has not been able to ride a foam pit for over a year. So it's like,
I think he's going to take advantage of it, like when he's able to get back to it.
Definitely.
Because he can't backflip. He's like terrified. But I think like once everything reopens, like he's going to push his progression of his riding so much more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of pros out there, and like even just other people that are just so good on bikes who they surprisingly don't have certain tricks, right?
Yeah.
And this might come to a surprise for a lot of people, but not anybody who's been to Joyride. Dean Hartley can't bar spin. One of the like best street riders right now in Canada cannot do a bar spin.
But he can whip like everybody else can bar though.
That's the thing, though. He does everything else so good that he doesn't need to do them, right?
Yeah.
It's the same as Chase Dehart when you really think about it. Chase, for years, never did bars, still doesn't. There's so many video parts out there that he just doesn't do them. Guess what? Guy's got the cleanest hop whips in the game.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
there's just certain things, but like when it comes to park riding, I almost feel like you need that crowd pleaser trick, and we all know that the crowd pleaser tricks, you got to go upside down. It's either a front flip, back flip, barrel roll, 360 flip, all that crazy stuff, you know? But I think Ben will be able to get him. I mean,
Absolutely.
flips are, they're scary, but they're easy. That's the thing, right? Like, I can backflip. I'm not that great on a bike. Like, I'll be honest with you. But
Also, too, with Ben, like he's goofy footed, so there's a lot of tricks that like if you look at a rider like Mike Aiken, like are super stylish. Like once he starts to really get comfortable with being goofy footed, like he'll be able to figure out a lot of those style tricks.
oh, definitely.
3 look backs.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 looks backs will be incredible, man. I'm excited for that.
Especially because all the time I'd be like, watch Mike Aiken, watch Corey Bowen, like because these all goofy footed riders. I'm like, that are incredible.
Yeah.
That have both had amazing BMX careers, and I've looked up to a ton.
Bowen's so sick. So sick. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, both those dudes are just like absolutely nuts, man. They're both so good. Mike is a literal legend.
You can,
I will use that term.
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm like, you can throw a legend with Aiken, Bowen, Van Homan.
Dude, Van
Mira.
for sure.
Yeah, all those dudes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Oh, dude. So we've been going here for almost 3 hours. So let's jump into the listener questions. And then after that,
I hope people will listen this long.
Oh,
It's just me
definitely,
rambling,
dude.
but-
Yeah, no, they'll be listening. Trust me. But yeah, so let's move on to the listener questions. We got quite a few this week, which is really exciting. I always love when we get 20 of them. And it's funny because it's like whenever there's 20 of them, there's actually 30, but there's 10 where it's like, yeah, I'm obviously going to ask
you
about
can
that.
Put more in there.
Yeah. But this one comes in from Chris Brown from Burlington, Ontario. He says, how has your background in moto influenced inspired your approach to BMX?
I think my moto background has super inspired my BMX riding, because with jumping transfers, gauging how far I can go, distancings, also I've always been super comfortable with big step downs. Obviously, watching uncontainable, my ride cover doing the hop truck. Yeah, just like being in the air a lot longer and jumping stuff and like has helped huge.
Definitely. Yeah, man. It's something that you can really see it, right? There's a lot of people that they were either in BMX racing before they went to, riding freestyle. Corey's a great example of
Absolutely.
that. And then people that did moto. And you can tell instantly just the way that they ride,
It's
the
funny
way they
'cause
look
someone
at
was
things.
like I never really got it. They're like, oh, like you've ridden moto. I can tell by the way you ride a BMX bike.
Mm-hmm.
And like I never really understood it. And then I seen like dudes that like are really good on moto that ride BMX, and it's like I can tell that dude's a moto rider from the way he rides a BMX.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, it's always one of those really cool feelings. Like I love seeing that. And someone who like isn't exactly like that but does ride moto and BMX is Cole from SD on Instagram. I don't know if you know him. The dude is wild. I'll pull up some of his Instagram stuff in a couple minutes, but
Right.
he literally takes his like, three-wheeler on top of his house and like jumps off of his house on his like Honda three-wheeler just into like a ramp.
I think I've seen some of those clips lately.
Oh man, that dude is unreal. He's hilarious. Yeah, but moving on from that, this one actually comes in from Mr. Matt Weatherill. He is wondering, how surreal is it to be considered Canada's best BMX rider if searched on Google?
He made me pull this up not too long ago.
I want to check my DMs because I know I have
Oh
it.
boy. I don't know. It's obviously crazy, but I think it's just I have no idea how you figured that one out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, so here we go. This is what we're chatting about here. To zoom in on it for everybody at home, or not. All right, so it says biography. Canada's Drew Bezanson is one of the top BMX park riders in the world, and then a bunch of stuff underneath it. But that's pretty rad, man. I really like that.
Yeah.
And then Google search is obviously who is the best BMX rider in Canada. So good. Alrighty. So moving on from that, this one comes in from Jarrett Bellamy. I don't know if I pronounced his name right. What did you think of your season venturing into mountain bike slope style? Which we didn't really cover too much.
Yeah, no, I remember reading this question, and to be honest, I hated it because Boombox did the RedBull series where they do like all the episodes, and I mean, at the end of the day, like I got hurt. I wasn't able to ever showcase what I was able to do on the bike because I got to the point where I was comfortable doing like double flips, cork sevens, truck to whips, like a bunch of tricks, but I never got to do them in a contest where it would have counted.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I feel like the RedBull series turned into like a reality TV show. Like
A little bit, yeah.
where it was kind of like, well, I get it. Like there has to be that drama. Like
Yeah.
like we got to draw people in to watch, but like I was not like a fan of how the series went. Obviously, I wasn't a fan of the outcome. Like that's another thing on my to-do list. I want to film a full mountain bike edit. Like I still have my hardtail from the series. I want to do a full mountain bike edit to showcase the world what I can actually do on a mountain bike.
Definitely.
Because like obviously after I didn't make it to Joyride, they were like, all the mountain bikers were like, see, it's not that easy to get on a mountain bike and do it, blah blah blah. And there's like obviously a lot of
Negativity.
bunch of smack talk, but I was like, all right, give me a chance to back up my performance.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
Yeah, but also too, like the last chance I had to qualify for Joyride was at Colorado Freeride Fest, and I literally had to fly straight from that contest to Woodward West for the Mongoose Jam, and like in my head, what do? Do I break myself off for my weekend warrior sport, or do I show up to my job on Monday?
Yeah.
You're showing up Monday.
Yeah. So I went and did my job at Woodward West, got second in the Mongoose Gym, and did like a bunch of stuff for that with being on Ben Wallace's team, which was amazing with Nick Bruce. Super fun. But like, do I break myself off at the mountain bike contest? Because I got a flat tire halfway down the run, and I didn't have the speed to do what I wanted to do in my final run. So it was like, whatever. At that point, I was just over it.
Definitely. And something I wanted to mention too is the fact that, like, you know, the people saying, see, it's not that easy. I don't think you ever said that it was easy. That's the thing. I'm like, I don't think
there was that one episode where I was getting interviewed. The way he asked me the question, like, pissed me off. So I was just like, well, it wouldn't be that hard. But the thing is, the series was never showing, like, everything I was still doing.
No, of course
like, I was
not.
still doing all my obligations for 10 BMX sponsorships.
Yeah.
On top of trying to ride a mountain bike. So anytime I showed up to a mountain bike contest, I was literally dusting dust off my bike.
Yeah.
And just showing up and riding what I could do on the bike any day of the week. So it was like, I wish I could have like rode one contest where I could have actually properly prepared for it.
Yeah.
And came out swinging. So
Definitely. And I think too, the thing about like reality TV and just kind of the way that they did that series is that it is so easy to cut certain things where it's like literally you say one thing and then you have a point to prove it and they'll just cut that out of there. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, there might be a mountain bike dude, slopestyle guy in the editing room.
You never know.
Well, they had Cam McCall do a bunch of the voiceover stuff, and like, it definitely like I showed it to somebody recently, and they make it seem like they don't want you to make it or something like that.
Of course, they're trying to make you the underdog.
Yeah,
yeah. They spun it different. They expected it differently.
Whatever. Like I remember even like when that series came out, like my team manager was like, "Watch this episode. Like, do you care how it looks?" I'm like, honestly, I don't even care. Like, just put it out.
Yeah, it's a tough part because it's like obviously you want to have a little bit of creative control, but at the end of the day, they're just going to do their thing anyways, right?
And
like,
at the end of the day, it was Red Bull's way to promote Red Bull Joyride the entire year and explain that Red Bull Joyride is like the Olympics of mountain biking.
Definitely.
So it's like I kind of helped mountain bike in a way to help them.
Absolutely.
Because like in years past, like Red Bull would be like, "Oh, here's the course preview again,"
Right.
But rather than okay for this year, here's like a 7-episode series explaining Red Bull Joyride to promote it.
Yeah.
So
no, I think you definitely helped, man. You definitely brought some of that that hype, and it's something that I don't know how many BMX riders watch like mountain bike stuff or slopestyle stuff. I've always been fascinated by like Red Bull Rampage, like the true downhill stuff where they're in Utah.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, I got to go to that in person the year I blew my knee out, and it was incredible.
That is like,
can't even imagine.
Those are the craziest dudes in the fucking world, man. In my opinion, oh my god,
it took me like an hour and a half to like walk up the hill, and they come down it in less than a minute.
Yeah.
Dude. And they're doing flips and like spins and tricks.
Yeah, and I love that like the whole concept behind it is basically, show up a couple weeks beforehand, and what you're gonna do is you're just gonna go through, figure out what your run's gonna be, and just start making jumps.
Yeah.
Like what? It's nuts, dude. This one comes in from a listener. He's asking, have you ever messed around with front brakes?
I've played around with them a bit because like back when I used to stay with John at Ryder, he had a bike built up that had front brakes. Like just doing straight nose pick overs on spines, super fun. Any nose pick tricks.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely I want to build up a bike with front brakes moving forward. I just haven't got there yet. I love playing around with front brakes, like especially too because like a lot of front brake stuff is like when you do a Canadian nose pick, like it's called Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you kind of have to learn it, eh? Dude, I love fronties. I have a set on my bike. I've got the one lever mod with the United Caveman frame. So I've got the weirdest bike in Ontario. It's got a grind plate on the bottom and front and back brakes.
Yeah.
Front brakes were fun to play with.
Shout out to Rooftop, old Tube Top as we called him on bikes back then.
Oh man, yeah, Rooftop is sick. I'm stoked to have his frame. I literally wanted one of those back in 2016. They did a reissue of them, and instantly it was like, all right, sold, getting one. Like I need it. So it's pretty dope, man. It's definitely the heaviest BMX frame in 2021. So
for sure,
man, shit only, I guess. This one comes in from our friend Harvester Bikes.
Nice.
How did the DK Canadian Tire bike deal come about? Any stories?
Not really. It was just an opportunity, and I took it.
Definitely.
Like obviously, they're like, "Hey, we can put your name on a bike that's going to be in Canadian Tire," and it's just like a cool opportunity that I'm not going to be like, "No, don't do it."
Yeah, and something I want to mention too, because there's a lot of people out there that look at that as like selling out.
Yeah.
And my thing, sorry, continue.
Before that, like back when DK was bought by Huffy, they actually did one year in Walmart, and I had a bike in Walmart as well. But like my whole goal with that was like it had to have like a mid-bottom bracket, full chromoly frame fork and bars, to like where if a kid bought it, he could start upgrading that exact bike.
Oh, that's wicked.
And actually, like, not like it, like, wasn't like Mike Spinner where that's like a sellout. Because his was like a $99 bike, where it's like if a kid actually bought that bike, got stoked on it, he'd break that bike in a matter of minutes, go to his parents and be like, "Mom, I need a new bike." They'd be like, "We're not buying you another bike. We just bought you a bike."
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good way of looking at it. I was going to say when Mike was on, we talked a little bit about it, and my perspective on it is literally that, like, you know, it's going to get more people into BMX, even if it's only $99. It might not be the greatest bike in the world, but it gets them on two wheels that are 20 inches, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I can see what you're saying.
The whole sellout thing, though, is like,
it's
you
like
take that promotion at work. Oh, you're a sellout. This is his job. You know what I mean? It's like you're progressing your career. I don't get that.
No one's gonna turn down free money. At the end of the day.
Well, yeah, like it's part of your career. So I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, no, that's something that I
like paying my bills.
Yeah.
On time.
Yeah.
We had Brent Moore on the show recently, who's awesome YouTube content with BMX, daily videos, and we seriously talked about like the term sellout for about 45 minutes, and he made some amazing points, especially with him basically saying, "Look it, I'm going to be able to take money from Google, one of the biggest corporations in the world, and put it right back into BMX, right?" Like,
there's no such thing as the term sellout.
Yeah, definitely. I think at the end of the day, it's like getting that money and being able to do what you love for a living. If that's selling out, sign me up, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if I get to do what I want every day and I love what I do, fuck it, I won. Like, that's not selling out to me. This one comes in from Pinder BMX. And Pinder says, when I visited Joyride for the first time, I remember walking around the park while watching the video. The video didn't seem to do justice on how insanely big some of the gaps in the jumps were. I literally remember having to pause through the video so many times just to look at each thing. Like, that's pretty fucking wild.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like, even like after I put out edits, like, there were people that would come to the park for the first time and they'd be at the front desk and they'd be like, "Okay, take me to the back and show me where this transfer is."
Really?
Yeah. So they would just have like show and tell with like new people that would come to Joyride, and they'd have to go back and be like, "Oh, he took off from there and then landed over there and then went from here to there." So it's like cool that it was kind of turned the place into like an amusement park.
Yeah, definitely, man. And the first time that I took my girlfriend to Joyride, I was literally just going there to meet Landon, who worked in the boiler room, to grab a camera bag. And I remember like literally telling her, I'm like, "All right, well, let's just go walk around the building and I'll show you some stuff." And dude, that's the thing. I'm like, for people who don't ride BMX, even just to kind of walk through and see that is like, it blows their minds, you know? It's pretty rad.
Landon's sick.
Yeah, dude, Landon's the man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, Landon, he is too rad. I love Landon. He's a good dude. But yeah, moving on from here, we got one coming in from Mr. Brian Vowell, aka
Nice.
4Pegs BV on Instagram, the
Yep.
one and only. Where does your inspiration come from with all the wild ideas such as RedBull uncontainable?
Just like for me, like I always want to go as far as like push everything as far as they possibly can, and like just like always being comfortable with doing bigger transfers and stuff. Obviously, coming with it from the motocross background, and obviously with all the mid school BMX inspiration growing up in that like Dave Mira era, Morgan Wade, Gary Young, like all those dudes riding Metro Jam, Backyard Jam, like Corey Martinez, Van Homan, like, and growing up with like crazy video parts, like just that, I take all that as inspiration. And I mean, it's just like, for me personally, like I find stuff that like I'm addicted to on BMX, like foot jamming a massive wall ride and hopping in, to me is some of the best feeling in the world. Like dive bombing out of a foot jam, for me, I love that feeling.
Definitely, man.
And like big step downs, like that falling feeling, like how I've always started my runs at like Simple Session, Toronto BMX Jam, like those big kind of dive bombing into ramps. Like I've always, it's just, that's fun to me. That's what I enjoy. Like I love that feeling. So obviously I'm going to try to find ways to get that feeling over and over again through my riding.
Absolutely, man. That's wicked. And like you can see it too. Like you can literally just see exactly what you're saying while you're basically talking about it. Like it makes so much sense. This next one comes in from Clayton from Backpedaling BMX
Nice.
Shop.
Shout out to Clayton.
Guelph. Dude,
Hey.
anybody who's like from the Ontario BMX scene needs to know who Clayton is. That dude is
He's done so much for cycling. Like if you haven't ever been to his shop, go check it out. It's literally like a museum.
Dude,
It's insane. Like he literally has thousands of bikes all the way from the ground up to the ceiling, which is like 30 feet tall.
it's literally like Joyride ceiling. It's funny
Yeah.
because his bike shop, if you were to like pick it up and move everything and put it in the park room at Joyride, it would probably fill that space.
Absolutely, it would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shop is absolutely massive. It's one of the coolest places I've ever been in my entire life. Like, as much as I love Harvester,
Yeah.
Backpedaling shop is
Yeah.
just, it outdoes it so many times
Absolutely.
over. But I think it's just because it's not just strictly BMX, right?
Yeah.
Like Clayton's,
Yeah.
Dude, he's awesome.
Clayton and his wife Melissa, incredible.
definitely. Yeah, they're really cool,
Yeah,
man.
I've gone on a few like snowmobile trips with them in the winter. Obviously, being in Canada,
Yeah.
super fun.
You rode the Backpedaling Jam a couple of years ago in front of
Yeah.
the shop. That was
Yeah.
really cool to see you there. Yeah, man, he's always trying to do something, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyways, from Clayton, he says, "We love you, Drew." Like, I
Thank
love
you,
it.
Clayton.
That's too awesome, eh? This one comes in from a listener, and he's saying, "Can't wait to see you ride again, and I hope your sponsors will back you throughout the journey back. You are a legend." And
There's that term.
yeah, there you go.
No, I really appreciate it. I mean, with brands like RedBull, like obviously they always want to, like, their whole program is to sign an athlete when they're young and be with them throughout their whole career. So I have like, if I'm able to accomplish what I want to accomplish in the next few years, I obviously see that partnership growing many, many years past what it is now. Like, I feel like I've done enough where I'm still valuable to the brand. Like, every once in a while, I'll still see clips from Uncontainable pop up on Instagram, and they get hundreds of likes and comments, and like,
Definitely. Dude, a good example of that would be Sebastian Keep, because even now, you know,
yeah,
he's one of those dudes that like progressed BMX so far, but he doesn't really ride at that level anymore because he's chosen to retire.
yeah.
But he's still rocking Red Bull everywhere he goes, man. That
Yeah.
guy is
Yeah.
he's just one of those dudes that like he'll forever be with Red Bull. And what I love about Red Bull, and this is why I am going to switch from other energy drinks to Red Bull,
Nice.
is the fact
Love
that
it.
they literally, when they had the opportunity to leave and say, nope, you got hurt, this is, we didn't expect
absolutely.
this.
Yeah.
Instead, they said, no, we're here for you, not the athlete. We're here for you. We care about you. We're signing up for another 2 years. We want to help you.
Yeah.
Dude, that right there proves that they're not
just everything they do for action sports. You see through all their contests, like their athletes, their projects. Like they're just, that brand has done so much for action sports.
Definitely, man. Yeah, it's really rad to see. Honestly, I really, really love that. So shout out to Red Bull. And dude, I got to admit, new dragon fruit flavor.
Fire.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Fucking pretty nice, dude.
Watermelon from last year too is unreal. It tastes like watermelon candy.
Yeah,
that's awesome,
So
man.
good.
Yeah, I love it, dude. It's too.
I'm still an OG fan as well.
Definitely.
Love it.
Anyways, this one comes in from C. Wilson BMX. What video part are you most proud of? That's tough, eh? That's a really tough question.
That is extremely tough. I'm super proud of my power hour. Actually, that's on my list, my to-do list. I want to go back to Woodward and film another power hour on the Cloud9 Spine Minute and try to one up my power hour from the
year before.
Yeah, from 2009.
That whole video still stands up now, though.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's so wild, eh?
It's crazy.
But
Yeah. Dude, I love it. That's really cool to hear. I like hearing that there's some variety there, right? I feel like everybody would kind of expect that uncontainable would be the thing you're most proud of, but
even like the thing with like uncontainable, like I'm super proud of it, is like it wasn't like, I don't feel like it was my project. It was everybody who was involved.
yeah.
So like it was our project.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't like me, like I'm gonna take full compliments for this one, but it's everybody who was involved.
Definitely, man.
So definitely my power hour. I mean, my power hour came out and then I flew from Woodward to Portland do tour, and like I just remember like Nyquist came up and gave me props, obviously after it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was the one who followed up the power hour, kind of like whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like he was next
I
up.
see what you're saying.
The trilogy.
Okay.
He was even in the intro. He's like, I'm the guy that has to do the power hour after Drew Bezanson. So it's definitely like an honor coming from Nyquist.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Nyquist is he's right up there, man, as like the top 1% for BMX.
Miracle Boy and Nyquist. So.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, he was there.
Oh man.
Through all that.
Yeah, and then here we go. So this one is a good question. So he is asking, explain the feeling or the fear of doing the huge truck driver down the Phoenix Bank gap that made the cover of Ride. So first of all, just grab this right here.
Well, I called it out because I got my RedBull helmet the week before this, and I didn't even wear my helmet. I put a trucker hat on for a truck driver.
Yeah.
As like now being more responsible, I should have put my helmet on. But the bank was like a cheese grater. Like I remember I looked at the bank from probably 200 feet away, and I was like, I'm doing it. And we left it. I went and bought a broom because I had to sweep the whole bottom. Swept the bottom, jumped down it straight a couple times, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to 3 down it. And I 3 down it, and I skid to a stop, and I can't remember if it was Fudger or Fat Tony filming. And I literally look at the camera, and I'm like, the truck driver's going to be easy. And I just went back up to the top because I was so comfortable with jumping big step downs, and fired it out. I actually went back to double truck down it for my prop zone part, but it was super windy and
not quite as easy.
I sissied out, as I want to say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough to want to go back and do stuff that you've already done, right? Like, I've always kind of felt that there was this big gap that I did, and I actually just made a YouTube video on it.
The one over the rail.
Yeah, did you watch that? Or at least the Instagram?
Yeah, I've seen the Instagram stuff.
It was sweet.
Dude.
Yeah.
I like that. But yeah, with that, I always wanted to go back and do something over it, and I've struggled for
It'd be
that
sick
for
like
years.
A hot bar over it or a 3
I
over
can't
it.
bar.
Well,
dude, it would be cool though.
I mean, if you're down to leak out spots, I'll go back.
Oh, I'm down. Obviously, man. Yeah, I'd love to see. I've always wanted to see someone trick it. That's the thing. I'm like, I did it. No one's done it since. No one did it before me. So I want to see someone do it. You know. But
It's a pretty serious rail hop.
it's pretty big, man.
Yeah.
It's gnarly. Yeah.
But I mean, Sean Burns, as long as you drop the anchor, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
His technique to landing flat, he calls dropping the anchor.
Yeah, back end.
That's hilarious. I love it, man. Burns is the man.
Yeah.
This one comes in from Van Photos on Instagram,
Nice.
aka
Yep,
Cam
Cam.
McCullum, and he's saying, "Can you tell us about Cafe Extreme in Toro, Nova Scotia?"
It was a youth center that I literally had to beg my parents to take me to because there's always so many sketchy people there. My mom hated it because there was this dude that would always hit on her there. And like I would just beg my parents to let me go. It was actually like it was a indoor youth center. Had like the skate park setup was incredible actually. Like had like nice mini ramp. The ceiling was super low. Like even as like an 11-year-old kid, I started hitting the ceiling super young.
Dude,
And, like,
that's wild.
had like it's just like if I could go back and ride it now today, I would love that because it just had so many good setups. Like it was like a vert wall wedge beside it with a wall ride, a bank to sub beside that, a steeper bank to like sub beside that, a mini ramp beside it, a 2-way like with a ledge and a rail up over down into a 5-foot quarter with a roll in beside it.
That sounds like a sick park.
Yeah, and it had like rails that you could move around the park and stuff too.
Dude, that's wicked.
And there was like a driveway beside the wall that had like a hip on it that you could wall ride across.
It was indoor? Oh, yeah. It was in the youth center, I guess, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Indoor. But like the dude that opened it, his name was Ray Merriam, and he was just trying to run for mayor for Churl. So like he just like did it to look good. And like half the time I would go to work with my dad. I would pedal over, and it was Russian roulette if it was open or not.
Oh, really?
So like, you would go there, everyone would be hanging outside, and then you'd see him like, Ray come to open the park with the key. Everybody'd be like, finally.
Yeah, where you been?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a park, sorry to interrupt, there's a park in Ingersoll that's like that. It's outside the youth center, and like you'd show up and nothing, and nobody's there. It's like, oh, dude.
Yeah. But then like, I remember by the end of it, like Ray just took the money the town would give him to like put for the power, towards the power, and he just put that towards his Jaguar. And then they ended up just turning the power off on it. We had like one final jam where we brought in generators and lights.
Oh, yeah?
That's wicked.
But
Real integrity move, eh, Ray?
yeah. Yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Take the kids' fun away.
Yeah. But no, for the small town I grew up into, it was an incredible place to ride.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, man. Other than that, I got one last question for you. But first of all, thank you guys for coming in today. This has been a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Dude, gotta co-host. I love it. As someone who has climbed to the top of the BMX industry, someone who rides for some of the biggest companies in the world, who has competed and won the biggest contests and made some of the most memorable video parts ever, someone who has achieved their dreams, what's your advice to people who look up to you or want to follow in your footsteps in their own way?
Yeah, just always follow your own dreams and try to do it your way. Like, don't be a carbon copy because those people are already sponsored. Like their spot in the sport is already taken. Like, do it your own path.
That's a really good piece of advice, man. Honestly, the whole carbon copy thing is so true, right? There's so many people that
because if somebody wants to sponsor Garrett Reynolds, they're gonna go sponsor Garrett.
Yeah.
Like they're not gonna sponsor cause there's always a joke at Simple Session. There was this Russian kid that was like he'd always be like announced as the Russian Garrett.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, looked identical, rode the exact same, and they're like, oh, next up is Russian Garrett, and it's like, if companies want to sponsor Garrett, they're going to sponsor Garrett. They're not going to sponsor the carbon copy.
That's right.
So it's like that spot in BMX is already taken.
Yep.
Like, do it your own way.
It was like that with Chase Dehart too. There's a lot of followers back in the day. Yeah.
And even like Eddie Cleveland back in the day.
Yeah.
definitely.
Too bad for his back, but yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie's back.
Yeah, man, it's so true, right? Like you kind of have to do it your own way, and you know those days will come. I think a big thing is like you just got to be patient. You just got to put in the time and the effort. It doesn't come quickly. Like
especially too, like for myself, like I had to keep going to the U.S. because there wasn't any opportunity in Canadian BMX. I just had to keep saving up money, booking a one-way ticket to the U.S. to go ride a contest. Or like keep showing up till like somebody took notice, be like, okay, this guy keeps showing up. Like maybe we should take notice. Like he's not leaving. Like even I was watching something with I'm blanking his name. He's an actor, Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, Jim Carrey. Yeah,
he was talking about his dad. Like his dad always wanted to be like this musician, but same thing. Like in Ontario, there wasn't that opportunity. But then he had a family, so he had to get a job as an accountant to take care of his family. But like if he would have kept going to the U.S., he might have been able to like get that opportunity in music. But at the end of his life, he got fired as an accountant. Like it's better to fail at something you want to fail at than something you don't want to fail at.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like, putting so much of my own money back into my own career, like I'm never going to sit as like an old man in a rocking chair with those what ifs being like, I wish I would have had that money in my bank account. It's like kind of like, you know what? I never left anything on the table and I always took it as far as I wanted to. So I have no regrets. Like,
definitely.
I would say that as well. Like do it exactly the way you want to do and have no regrets. And like investing time, money, anything into what you want to do, like it's always going to be worth it. It's always making those memories that you're never going to forget. It's always going to like creating stories and stuff like me, just like going to Woodward and getting to do like trips with DK and going to different countries. Like I've got a lifetime of memories that I can tell my kids one day.
Definitely. And it's so true, man. Like the stuff that you've been able to accomplish is like such a big deal within the world of BMX, right? And for you as well, like being able to have that with no regrets is such a huge thing that I know a lot of people, want within their life, me included. Like it's something that I've really told myself is that like, even if no one listens to this show,
just
I'm still going to do it because I like doing it.
Wholeheartedly. Like you're doing something you enjoy to do. So it's not like you're wasting time.
Exactly. Yeah, man. It's I think it's more important to have happiness than wealth, right? We see it a lot where there's a lot of people that have everything they could ever dream of, but they are missing something. And that one thing will literally like consume their life, right? They want that thing so bad and they just can't have it.
There's a photo of like a little girl in like a bucket of water, and it's like it says like something along being like super rich.
Mm-hmm.
Cuz like she's just so happy to be in that bucket of water.
Yeah.
And I remember posting it on my Instagram years ago, and you have people being like, "Oh, it's easy for you to say that, like you have everything, like you have RedBull, you have this, you have that, like you probably have money." Like they're just assuming I have all this stuff, but I'm saying like I'm happy with nothing because I'm literally am, because I've followed my dreams since day one.
Definitely.
And like through that, like I hope I've inspired people around the world to do the same.
And I think the main thing too is like you've followed your dreams since day one, and because of that, you've been rewarded with all these great things as well, right? Like sometimes it doesn't happen for certain people, but sometimes it does for others, right?
Yeah.
You and the way that you've managed to pull it off, it worked out perfectly. You've been able to accomplish everything that you've wanted to do so far, and you're coming back with even more, you know?
Yeah. Well, I have a whole new perspective on life and a whole new appreciation for life. Because for me, like, I feel like I've got a second chance at life, like with what I've accomplished so far, like, and what I feel like I can accomplish in the future. I think I can really do some, like, so much more for BMX than I've done already. So I just look forward to it. And no, I hope everybody enjoys the show.
Definitely.
Drew 2.0 coming, baby.
Fuck yeah,
Woo!
man. I love it. Perfect. Well, Drew, this has been incredible. Matt, thanks for joining us. We are almost at 3.5 hours. So before we get there,
If
why
anybody
don't you...
makes it this far and is still listening to me talk about bikes and everything, thank you so much for your 3 hours of your day. It means a lot.
I love it. That's awesome, Drew. And before we go, why don't you shout out a couple people, say thanks, do what you want to do here. Yeah. It's tough, eh?
Yeah.
Right off the back of your
Shout
head.
out to Joyride for giving me a 90,000 square foot bike park to pretty much do whatever I want with, and the freedom to change the place and help it grow, and give me the freedom to have those late night sessions and set stuff up for me to like play around with stuff that I want to learn. Yeah, the whole Summers family, Mark, Leslie, Noah, Rachel, Will, everyone there. John at Ryder, he's been a huge mentor for me. He's given me some of the best life advice I've ever gotten. Like, a lot of people think he's a little crazy. Sorry, Johnny, they do. I love you, but anytime you've ever talked, I've been a sponge. I've listened to everything you've told me. I can recite so much of the stuff you've told me over my career, and like, it's just a testimony that it works. Because, I mean, I've gotten to this level so far with a lot of your help, and yeah, all of my sponsors, RedBull, DK for always being behind me, RedBull believing me, all my crazy ideas, hopefully more in the future. No, just, yeah, I can't, all the opportunities, everyone in Estonia who cheered me on for me to get. I remember the first year I went to Simple Session, I was trying my last trick, and I was actually afraid not to pull it because of how loud everybody was getting.
That's awesome.
I was like, I better pull this or I'm going to get like swarmed. So, no, just those vibes, those memories, just BMX in general. Like, I've literally got the opportunity to travel around the world to learn so much about everything, like different cultures, see some amazing places. Yeah, I'm just so thankful for everything.
Definitely. Awesome, Drew. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for all the, awesome conversation that we had today. This is really awesome, man. I really, really appreciate it.
No problem.
Definitely. And Matt, thank you for joining us. This
Thanks
was
for the good
awesome.
time.
Definitely, man. And yeah, I guess we will see you guys in the next one.
Sounds good.
Peace.